Remy, excuse me. One of the favorite names I like to say here in this series, as he drives SRM Motorsports. It's been, I believe it was a Ford GT2, then it was a Corvette, and now it is a Ford GT that DailySportsCar.com piloted, sponsored SRM Motorsports machine, and of course the colors of DailySportsCar.com. But either way, I gotta say, Randy, the thing to note here, the Fords are trickling to the rear of the field. I'm not sure if that's because of who's driving the machines or what, but really starting to become evident as time ticks on by. The Fords just aren't home here at Sebring.
Well, we met, you know, I wouldn't say they're trickling. It's sort of been like this the entire race. All the Fords have basically been deep down the order. Pretty much just dropping green flags and walking. This is Dion Fialio in Postmaster Vano LP Racing number 34 and the Team RSO prototype. But I mean, other than MSP Phoenix, you know, you're absolutely right. I mean, MSP Phoenix currently holds the 5th spot, and next in line is Jim, who's somewhere around 12th, I think. And then you get Torque Freak a few spots back, and then SRN, and then you got Hoistenveld and Sim Racing for Holland a couple spots back, and then Phoenix, which is a Ferrari, who separate Machine SRN. It is sort of one of those things, and you know, it's really interesting to me, Cam, the fact that when Mac was in here, he said something, I think, he said something along the lines of, I think the Ford is the quicker car. But I've raced, you know, I've been around this scene for a while, and I've never once seen an entire group of sim races choose the slower car over a quicker one. Specifically, you know, those guys that come out of the quicker teams like Vendaval, Glacier, Wanda, Hoistenveld Pro Motorsports, Torch Sim Racing, Sim RC, Movano, Pure Racing Team, NX. Those teams aren't just going to choose they aren't just going to choose the slower car in the Ferrari if that's the case. I really do think that there is a BOP disadvantage to the Ford GT right now, and I think that's what we're saying. Not to say that it necessarily can't be strong, but there are some strong names driving those Ford GTs in the field. I mean, like the Jetstat and the company, they're doing a good job in it. You have the likes of Jim. Jim Racing is known for being a pretty strong team in the GT field. Torque Freak's known for being pretty pacey. SR as well. I definitely think there's probably, it may not be huge, it may be, you know, just a few tenths, but I do think the difference is there, and I think it's something that race control going into future rounds should likely look into.
Well, and it's another thing to remember here, in the 2 years that Ford has come here, they have not come away with a victory. They've been on the podium, they haven't won. And it's just not to say perhaps that maybe it's the car, but, you know, just looking at it in both in real life and here on iRacing, it just doesn't seem to be that comfortable here. Also, we've got a full explanation, Connery, from the incident between that prototype car that was in 4th position and that Phoenix Ford. So, I don't know, you just explain it and see what the decision is from that race control.
Yeah, that incident that has put that ERT prototype down the field somewhat with the amount of damage that they have to that car. It's still out there circulating, but nowhere near the pace that they were once running. Well, that incident between them and Phoenix was called no further action. It was explained by the admins like this: late move by the 26, wheel spin exiting corner, 64 could have stayed driver's left more racing incident.
So there you have it. I think it's a decently fair decision. It's not like the other incidents that we've seen, Randy, where a prototype is sticking its nose up business that it has no right to belong to. As I see there's a stop car heading towards the hairpin, actually. Oh my goodness me, there's a number 72 car, Daniel Schreit, the Pure Racing Team GTE red car. It has crashed into the tire barrier, and it has crashed hard. What has happened to that Daniel Schreit piloted machine? Is we're going to get something, Randy, I think happened hardware-wise.
Yeah.
What is that, Randy? That is, I mean, we've seen hardware issues, but oh my goodness, right in the tire barrier.
Yeah, I mean, that's purely a technical issue, I think, and it's actually really interesting, the fact that normally in these sorts of races, Cam, we see, you know, a lot of the incidents be defined by just driver issues, just people making moves they shouldn't be making, just people sticking the nose where it doesn't belong. That's generally what we see, taking people out of contention, but, you know, really the tail of the race today has been technical issues. He apparently got a black screen on the run there through the back straightaway, and basically, you know, when you can't see the monitor, basically nothing you can do, and he just basically plowed into the tire. I don't actually ever think, actually I take that back, I was going to say, I don't think I've ever seen a car end up in that wall. I think the only person I've ever seen end up in that wall has been Josh Chin, and that actually happened in a Neo race back well beyond before they had driver slots, that would have been a 2-hour-long night race. Josh Chin ended up in that same ultimate prototype, but that was due to contact with the other cars. But that's a wall that's rare to see people buried into.
Honestly, I remember a Chimera car getting involved somewhere there, getting nipped off the exit of that corner, going into a spin and crashing on that section of track. I don't think they hit that tire barrier, but my goodness me, it is so strange to be having these issues. Normally, things are bulletproof, at least on my end, so I have no idea. Perhaps it's just how people are upgrading their telemetry, how people are looking at their all the extras and the third-party stuff, or maybe just something. I don't know, but this is just a crazy situation here. And just unlucky is that is going to be our first real retirement of the race, Connor.
Yeah, first retirement because of a crash, really, because, as we've already mentioned, we've had Infinity Sensible already go out in this race, but that was because they parked it, because they didn't feel there was much point in continuing on with the amount of penalties that they had. And, now we have the car that's out because of an incident, and not an incident with another car either. We've had no cars go out because of incidents with other cars in terms of retirements. It's just another unfortunate technical hardware issue for the guys.
Yeah, and so that is just, that is crazy. But either way, big incident, 3 hours and 30 minutes into this. That means we've got 2 hours and 30 minutes remaining. Thereabouts. Your leaders right now, Pure Racing Team LMP, Patrick Wolf, no problems there. He's got almost a minute lead over Vendable Sim Racing Blue. Then Vendable Sim Racing White is a GT car, your Ferrari. They've got the lead over a very angry pair of Ferraris. From BRS Coanda Simsport, the 88 and the 81, piloted by Rens Brokman and Joni Takkanen. And Randy, I think right now that we've only got 6 cars on the lead lap in prototype. I think that still goes to show you the strength of field when you can have this long racing from drivers that are that fast, and the PRT team is there only lapped 6 cars in the field, especially with everything that's gone on as far as juggling and lap traffic has gone. And then for your GT, I mean, looking all the way back, we've got 9 cars still on the lead lap in GT.
Yeah, it's been, because we've not seen high levels of attrition. It's, one of the things that, the fact that we can actually get a true idea of what the pace of, say, a Pure Racing Team LMP car is. Like, let's say, if there had been a handful of incidents and, 6 or 7 prototypes have dropped out, it's sort of, that question mark would be, well, how many of those cars would Pure have lapped really? Because we've not lost hardly any of them, we get a perfect idea of exactly how much quicker Max Benecke is over the rest of the field, and it's the same exact thing in the GT field. We've only lost that one GT car now. We're now out one prototype, one GT car, so that pretty much works out pretty much perfectly. So that gives you a good idea of the pace of the likes of Vendable, the 2 VRS machines, Heinz Ford, and the Phoenix here.
We have to remember, and this is the very most important thing to remember when it comes to the Neo Endurance Series. The Endurance Series. You've got to remember, this is not something that you just put together. I mean, you can with a couple of your friends, get some money together, and go racing. If we're going to be watching the battle between Yannick Kieran, who we went on board with earlier, and Kimo Soyman, and his couple of prototypes are on pit lane, so they're going to be starting their pit cycle again. But meanwhile, while we watch this battle, you got to remember, this isn't just something that you put together for a week. This isn't, let's race the 500 kilometers of Road America in the Kemmel GT series. This is a committed program. I won't call it anything like a team or just a bunch of friends. It is an entire endurance racing program. These are people who have been plotting and planning this race for some time now. Sometimes some teams have had the time to really wrench out, just like Randy, you were saying earlier, with the tire testing and the stint testing and all of the setup changes. You've got to remember, some of these programs have been working for months now, and they're starting to come to fruition. Other teams, maybe not so much. So is this, because this is another thing we have to remember, is this that perhaps the PRT car is just that much faster with Vendable, or the rest of the teams? Or are they perhaps more prepared for just Sebring? Maybe when we go to round number 2, which is the 6 hours of Road America, maybe somebody else is going to be faster. And then afterwards, what happens when we go to Motegi after that? And then we'll go to the Nürburgring, we'll go to Spa, and then of course we're going to 24 hours of Le Mans. It's interesting to note, Connery, just how all of these teams can put their programs together, and then which programs not only perform well out of the gate, which we're seeing here at Sebring in just a straight raw race, no full course yellow, no massive incidents, nothing like that, compared to what we might see when we get to Spa-Francorchamps for round number 5, some half a year from now.
Yeah, the teams there, they pretty much put this on a very similar sort of level as the GT series. It has that prestige, it has that sort of competitiveness, sorry, if I can get my words out correctly, than that series. So maybe you're not running for as much prize money, you could say, for this series than the GT series, but it's still a very prestigious event, a very prestigious series, as we're seeing a couple of the prototype cars heading their way down towards the lane. In fact, the prototype leader heading down on the lane now, Patrick Wolf, will bring that PRT LMP number 7 car down onto the lane. There's also been Crossmaster Ivano had pitted run over 6 laps ago. Venerable Sim Racing Blue had pitted on that last lap as well. Those were the front runners in this prototype field, and Patrick Wolf is going to stay in the car, I would have thought, here as that field goes in, as the tyres go on that Door Racing Team car, and in about 30 seconds they'll be off on the way.
Yeah, and there's your lane. There's your Patrick Wolf machine. He's sitting right there on in the pit lane. He's done quite a couple of stints here. Nothing like Maximilian Manacke's done. He did 85 laps. So taking over from lap 86, he's now lap 113. So that's some 30 some odd laps for Patrick Wolf into his prototype. Since he goes to work, he gets the fuel, he gets the tires, he gets away. Off and away that number 7 does, Randy. A good pit stop right now, as I gotta say, the Venerable Sim Racing Blue car, if I'm looking at this right, I don't even think he's gotten past. Nobody has actually, he had enough time to go the entire pit lane without even losing the lead.
Well, that's certainly a nice little buffer that you have in your back pocket, knowing you can come down pit lane and not lose the lead whatsoever. And it really is a very, very fine group, very small group that's even going to be in contention for that ability. So for right now, for Pure Racing Team, really it's really all hands on them here. In terms of being able to win this race, it's their race to lose. They just need to be smart, need to be chill, need to not make any mistakes. It's important to remember, we've seen Pure Racing Team, we've seen Max Benecke have races that were his to lose and him not come home with them. So the Pure Racing Team, they just need to be smart, and they should be able to take this one here about.
He's going to be going around Corey Davis in that Esat Motorsports orange car. Driver from Carolina, letting him right on through, as he'll go also around the Blue Flag Racing machine on his out lap, as of course looking firmly strong, I think, is some of these teams that wouldn't normally be driving these GTE cars. They're coming from the Corvette, they're coming from the Aston Martin, and they got to find out exactly what they can do. And Randy, just as there was the comments in the YouTube channel, just as we were talking about how some teams have been setting this up as a program. Let's be real here. Some teams have totally showed up with a setup they downloaded off the iRacing forums and are just here.
And it is sort of one of the the quandaries of the racing guys, especially at this level. I mean, you have to put in practice in order to be this competitive. You can't just not you can't just not show up, or excuse me, you can't just not practice and expect to show up and blow away the field. Sure,
you can't just not show up too. That would be very counterproductive.
You could just not show up, but I've tried that before. It's not it was not
you don't
very
get
effective.
points for that.
But you have to put in the practice. It's sort of one of those things, especially people trying to pressure trying to get sim racing in as an esport and more popular. If you're trying to push to get sim racing so big as an esport, you likely shouldn't be in a YouTube chat or on the forums talking about how you just did a single stint in practice one day before the race and then went out there and ran it. You really should put some effort in and, you know, make the product on track, you know, not only for yourself, but for everyone. Be more competitive. It will make the stream more interesting. It'll be the race overall more interesting. You know, it really does help everybody versus just being like, lol, NACS, we can't go pro because we don't have sponsors yet, and then get sponsors and then still not be properly prepared. As Cam, that reference may have gone over your head, but I know a significant amount of the chat it will not.
Okay, good. I will say though, I think for some drivers they want to say that because it makes them look like they're just that much faster. Like they just have the speed, almost like a James Hunt type thing, where they just I'm just that quick. I don't care if the car is junk or that they need to.
You know, like, the difference between them and James Hunt though, Cam?
He's a world champion.
People remember James Hunt after 4 years.
Ouch. But either way, looking through as Patrick Wolf drives right on by, and as Joshua Chin, he's pulling out of pit lane. He's got nobody around him competition-wise, other than actually, where is position number 6? He's got quite the gap then, that Chimera machine. But either way, we have got Neil Heckens. We'll see if we can get him up on the in for the interview as Niall, of course. Neil Heckens, whichever one you prefer, is one of the race organizers. He is the head in the Neo Endurance Series, of course. The Niall and Eagle Endurance Series, or NEO, or it's, I believe it's Niall and Eagle Organization. That's the Neo Endurance Series. Let's see, can we get somebody to open the door for him and take him into? I only push the top on. I can't drag. Anyways, so Niall Heckens, the race organizer here at Sebring International Raceway. We've got 3 hours and 41 minutes, and we have only had realistically 2 cars retired.
Yeah, it's been a great race so far. Well, we're also very happy with all the action, but overall clean action we have so far. So we hope we can keep this up till the end of the season.
Yeah, and Sebring, of course, it started out really hot, like 107 degrees on the track, 78 degrees, I think, in the air. Now it's cooled off a little bit to 23 and 72, respectively. But either way, it has been great racing throughout. I mean, we've seen big battles in both GT and prototype, and this is kind of the first season that we're having this just pure GT and pure prototype, and at least here at Sebring, it really seems to be working out rather than having that third class.
Yeah, indeed. We are happy with the way it turned out, but we also expected a great battle in both classes because the fields are strong, and especially in the GT class where we have all these top teams with 1 or 2 cars. It's amazing to see.
Is neat, and of course, I mean, we've got this season, we've got a great 5 rounds, 6 hours each, and then we've got the 24 hours at the end of it. And just going through how this season is going to progress, we've got Road America, we've got more tagging places that I can't really recall really visiting. I imagine it's going to be good fun for you guys. But just how the season schedules come together, I mean, sure, there's no Watkins Glen, but it really seems like a solid schedule.
Yeah, we also try to be a bit consistent with our schedule, not do too much of a change at once. Yeah, and the racing last year was great on this track, so I don't see a reason to change them for this season.
So we'll have good running, hopefully, all throughout, and of course 24 hours at the end of it. Briefly mentioned, we've had quite a bit of penalties. We started off with basically 3 stopping points in the first hour and a half, but after that, penalty-wise, you guys have been really able to kind of relax there in the race control.
Yeah, as long as we don't jinx it right now. It's also great to see, especially in the first hour, maybe 2. It's always hectic with the fields this close and by, and then after hour 2, everybody gets settled, gets into a rhythm, and then we always see more quiet moment in the middle part, and sometimes it will heat up again at the end.
Well, either way, though, I mean, hopefully as we're watching the battle between RSO and Team GT's HPD, Giano Piazza, he'll end up getting a position on the inside, and Esat he's not going to be able to make the counter. But either way, it'll we kind of have a bit of rough and tumble racing here at Sebring, but thankfully we've been able to really avoid that. Thankfully, it's been putting on a great show, Neil. So is there anybody you'd like to maybe give a shout out to, or say thanks to, or say hello to as we continue on to the rest of the race?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, first of all, we'd like to thank Alvin and Jason for the help so far, at least since last season. They are huge assets for us. Also, I'd like to thank all the teams and drivers participating, because without these people we could not have a race. Of course, you guys for amazing broadcast as always, and yeah, everybody watching as well. I mean, see increase each year, so viewers each year, so that's great.
And of course, thanks so much for having us along here at Vispar TV. We always appreciate it. It's my favorite time of year doing the Neo Endurance series. I look forward to it all year, and it's absolutely something I love. So thanks very much for having us, and hopefully we'll have a great season, and hopefully you guys in race control don't have to worry too much, make any really tough decisions in the future. But I know that if you guys do, you'll make the right ones. So thanks so much for hopping in the booth with us, and I'm sure we'll see you as time goes on.
Yeah, thank you.
Neil, before you go, I have one quick question, and I'm sure you're like, oh God, Randy's asking me a question. But since Edgel has stepped aside, shouldn't this have become the No Endurance Championship?
We have thought about it, but the No Endurance Championship doesn't sound as good as Neo. So, and also in honor of Egil's as co-founder, we chose to keep it this way.
Rightfully so. I am totally for that, by the way. The No Endurance series may be very confusing, but
competing directly with the Yes Endurance Championship.
Yeah. So, but either way, no, that's the feeders. Anyways, thanks so much, Neil, and have a good one. And I'm sure we'll talk to you later after the race.
Yep, sure. Thanks.
Cheers. So that's Niall Hackins. He's one of the organizers for the Neo Endurance Series, which of course you are watching here on Vispar TV and iRacing Live, and we've been watching this battle between Torrent Motorsports and Force Sim Racing Connery. This battle's been going on for a while, and it's still really looking toe-to-toe, corner-to-corner.
Yeah, it is, and well, when you consider that, well, just around about an hour ago, that Sumin managed to get past that Force Sim Racing GT Orange, and now it's opportunities again, and again, it's Sumin trying to chase down Force Sim Racing in 79. So this is a very close battle between two very close drivers in terms of lap times. Well, Sumin did lose around about 1/10 of a second, or half a tenth of a second. That last time by, so not all too much for him to worry about, but yeah, this battle has been seemingly going on for hours now, and it shows no signs of stopping.
Yeah, and just good battling going on other parts of the circuit as well, as it's a pair of Ferraris chasing each other down. You see there's a Ford behind them, Reto Hartman, that is not for position, and then that yellow Sim RC.DD Crimson machine is looking onward as just overall having a fairly decent run here. We've had that massive incident with the Ferrari just at a couple of laps ago, that no, it was Pure Racing Team GTP red machine. But either way, outside of that, it's been fairly clean. We haven't even really seen any of the bumps and bruises that we had seen before, Randy. And like just continuing to go forward, it's been clean, it's been good. I'm watching a battle right now between the number 14 and the number 24 of Lauren Steric, and the AO Racing and Joshua Chin. Chin has been on the attack.
Joshua's actually been doing a really good job. You know, of course, I mean, I don't want to sound biased, but I've been keeping a close eye on them being teammates. I know they were really struggling coming into this, because we mentioned, of course, the top of the show, the fact that the Camaro guys qualified so far down the order, and Ben and Jack won this race last season, and they come out and qualify 12th. They are really struggling trying to find that pace in the prototype just with this build. There's just something, I know Ben's a little bit frustrated with the car. I think Josh is frustrated with Ben and with the car. And, the cycling control crew have done a good job to slowly move themselves up the order. They're up +5 from where they started. I know that they're using that high downforce trim, which is why I think they've sort of been struggling getting past prototype. Getting past GT cars hasn't been too big of an issue though. But, it's interesting watching, just watching Josh kind of slowly climb up the order here. Josh does have some good speed, relatively matching what Ben was doing early on in the race, considering the traffic situations and considering the actual state of the track with the rubber and the heat. It's actually quite impressive. He does catch a little bit of a bad break with that Ferrari, and I think this is going to bring in, no, I take that back, that actually racing machine is down a couple of miles. Yeah, but, that slight little hiccup there with the Ferrari is going to cost Josh quite a bit of time, but, hopefully Mr. Not Jack Keithley in the car right now can step it up.
Well, I gotta say, it is unfortunate Jack Keithley isn't here. Keithley is always sensational to watch from how he goes through the traffic, with how he races, and so we miss him. But obviously, who knows? I personally, I don't know what he's been up to. But either way, looking at the battle right now, once again between Virtual Motorsport Team GT, as that Team GT car managed to make the pass on one of the other prototypes. I believe it was the Team RSO prototype. And he's now found himself locked squared away now, counter-attacking the Virtual Motorsport prototype. He goes on the inside of the Torque Freak racing car of Darian Barraclough. They've traded that Aston Martin for a Ford GT, and so they're finding themselves getting a little bit squunched out. And so right now it's Roy Diderin and the team versus the car of the Danilo Piazza, that Team GT HB.
There's also the Thrustmonster Movano Racing LMP34 car also involved in this battle at the back of the train here, as they're going to get held up by a couple of bits of GTE traffic in their way through turn 13 of Tower. That shouldn't be machine with sim racing in that Ford that's getting out of the way of your prototypes right now as they head into turn number 15, turn number 16 up towards the one. There's Team GT again, going to get held up behind the GT car, and finally finds their way down the inside at Le Mans corner. And Movano Racing will also get themselves past as well. You have to remember that that 34 car is the second Thrustmaster Movano Racing LMP car. The other one, number 53, currently at number 2, as it is right out there on track right now as these three cars head through Sunset Bend. And Randy, just have to say, like, what goes through a team owner's mind, what goes through a driver's mind when you're in a three-car battle like this, coming towards the kind of latter stages of the race, but not quite at the end. What do you tell your drivers in this situation?
It really depends on the team. It depends on the driver. Think back to say Coanda. And let's say when they first had a driver like Mac Backerman, Mac Backerman who had, even though he was quick, Mac Backerman did have a bit of a reputation. You might tell Mac Backerman, because he's in the car coming into the race, something a little bit differently to what you might tell, say, Martin Croquet. It is just sort of, it depends on the team, it depends on the driver, it depends exactly on the situation. And some people, they may say nothing at all. They just may say, you know what, they're in the car, they will do what they think is right. They're sort of free to do whatever they want. Every single team can be different. In every single team, some teams have very, very active team managers. Talking about Team Radical, Rob Quest, he's super, super active with that team and how he interacted with his drivers during the race, and even with the commentators on air in the chat. Versus some other people, which are very, very loose, and they have team managers. It's like, wait, does the manager for that team, do they even do anything? And it's just sort of, every team can be different.
Yeah, and you also have the element of how much information and how much does the driver want to be told while driving behind the wheel. And a couple of the drivers take that in different routes. I personally like to have all the information I can. I don't like just silence in my ears from my teammates. I want to be knowing who's around me, who's on different strategies, who is doing very fast lap times. But some drivers are not like that, and they just want to keep in the zone and keep everything silent so they can
leave me alone. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. Kimi Räikkönen's actually, Team GT heading their way down the inside Sunset Bend and dive there to get themselves ahead in towards P number 12 overall. Virtual Motorsport will have the run off the corner, but a little bit too far back to reply. I think they're going to have a look for a move around the outside. Early defensive inside line for Team GT. Is actually, I think they're just they're going to get the run off the corner here, Virtual Motorsport, but still there's no space for them to try and sling one down the inside. It's Thrustmaster Nirvana now trying to smell the blood in the water, but they're not getting any opportunities either.
Of course, they're going to have to deal with this faster prototype for Reese Cornelis here in just a moment as they work themselves now onto the Big Bend section of the racetrack, under the Corvette Bridge, and down towards the braking zone into the hairpin. And for Reese Cornelis, not reeling them in very quickly. You still see the flashing headlights as everything's kind of gotten a little bit spread out for these three. Not quite close. Well, I don't want to say spread out, but they weren't close enough for anyone to make a move. But I think Roy Dearden in that Virtual Motorsport car, he doesn't quite have the pace of Daniel Piazza in that Team GT HPD. So I think for Thrustmaster Nirvana Racing and Dion Fialio, he's losing a bit of time right now, especially as Fabrice Cornelis is going to go to put him a lap down, and they have a Ferrari they're going to have to deal with as well. So I think Team GT here, Connery, they pretty much got a perfect opportunity to stretch the gap. It's a very close and awkward situation there between Virtual Motorsport and that Pure Racing Team GTE Blue Machine. That's one of the situations on the racetrack. That's probably, in my opinion, Connery, of this entire racetrack, that stretch between Cunningham and Tower Corner is the most awkward place on the racetrack, the most awkward stretch on the racetrack when it comes to an interclass situation.
Yeah, it really is, and as a result, it has let Team GT get away at the front of this pack a little bit, and Fiallo still no opportunity yet for him to try and pass Virtual Motorsport, but Virtual Motorsport have been looking relatively weak over the past couple of laps in dealing with the traffic and in outright pace, so defensive inside line there for Virtual Motorsport, thinking that Thrustmaster Nirvana were going to go down the inside, but Nirvana actually took the wider entry trying to get the run off the corner, but their run was stalled in the middle of the apex by Virtual Motorsport, basically parking the bus in the middle of the apex there, not allowing them to run here. Had a little bit of a think coming down towards turn number 1, did Fiallo, but still no opportunity for him to capitalize on.
And no opportunity just yet, of course, is still this fight. They get themselves a little bit spread out for now, but I think we might see this, come back the other way. We do have Fabrice Cornelis who needs to get around Emilio Piazza as well as some GT traffic up the road. And that said, Virtual Motorsport and Thrustmaster still very close. They work themselves down in the hairpin. A potential passing opportunity here. Movano, they jink to the inside for a moment, just harassing the mirrors of Roy Dearden, but not quite going for the move just yet. Not close enough as they now work themselves through the let's say middle straight section. I guess is the best way to call it here on Sebring. You got the Fangio chicane in that section, and now into Cunningham, this section of the racetrack where we just saw that big checkup due to the GT traffic. There's another GT car, but that's the Terry Kicken in the Vendaval Blue Machine, your race leader, and he's a little bit up the road and busy holding up his teammates in the Vendaval Blue, the Vendaval White GT car holding up the blue prototype.
Yep, they are, but the prototype will make their way through, and that is the next bit of traffic that Virtual Motorsport and Thrustmaster Nirvana Racing have to deal with. That GT leader, Vendaval Sim Racing Whites, they head their way through Le Mans now, and they have to be very careful here. Virtual Motorsport get away with it there. They head their way around the right-hand side of your GT leader, and are they going to be close enough coming down into Santa Barbara? See them closing in the slipstream. They have a look for the inside line, pushing wide with Thrustmaster Nirvana. This is going to be the late apex to try and get the run off the corner for the Italian team. They do get a very good run off the corner. I think it's going to be side-by-side coming down in towards turn number 1. In fact, it is side-by-side heading down in towards the braking zone. Thrustmaster Nirvana on the inside line, and they will take the position for now, but wide line for Virtual Motorsport, again trying to take that late apex to get the run off the corner, line, but it's not going to be enough for them. So Thrustmaster Nirvana 34 up 1 position.
Virtual Motorsport, they did get the run that they probably would have wanted coming off that first corner, but it just wasn't quite enough going up into corner number 2, and it was fantastic car placement by Dion Fialio, who actually took away any opportunity Virtual Motorsport had, put that car in the middle of the racetrack, and, well, that sector of the racetrack, you can just about throw passes up there, but when you have that car in front of you, Connery, and going into the second corner here at Sebring, running that blocking line down the middle, that's, pretty much the most narrow section of the racetrack, and, oftentimes 2 wide doesn't even work there, nonetheless even 3 at some points, and no room to maybe make a move. It was very close there from Virtual Motorsport as Fiallo in that Thrustmaster car, very, very tight and slow line through Cunningham, and he actually prefers, it seems like, clipping that curb on the inside, which most of the time most people tend to try to avoid.
Yeah, different driving styles starting to come into play for these two cars, but I think we can expect now for Roy Dearden in that Virtual Motorsports car to just drop back bit by bit off of the back of First Master Movano Racing LMP34. And now if you're First Master Movano, you have to be considering, how do I catch up to that Team GT at HPD, who's currently dealing with a little bit of GTE traffic right now? So are your P number 3 and prototypes, Vendeville Sim Racing Blue. They're in the same bit of traffic here as well, heading through Sunset Bends. They all have to take different lines coming through there, but luckily in Sunset Bends, all the different lines pretty much work one way or the other.
Yeah, Sunset Bend is actually really interesting in that case. Most corners, you know, around the world, they have generally the optimal line, and you can sort of move around depending on the situation with traffic. Sometimes you might want to apex a little earlier. Sometimes you might want to apex a little bit later. It all depends on the situation. Sometimes even the car setup. The way Sunset Bend works is that everyone kind of has their own way of taking it, because the way the bumps actually work out, it's not only the way you actuate and play around with the steering wheel as you go through that corner. It's, you know, how you like the car to react over the bumps, and a large portion of that comes down to how you interact with the pedals. So some drivers, they'll actually, not only will the lines be different, even sometimes if the lines are very similar, how each driver uses the pedals and where do they use the brake versus where they use the throttle can be very, very different. In my opinion, it's one of the reasons why I love this racetrack. That is such a unique feature in all of motorsports. I don't think there's very many places around the world. It's like, yeah, every single corner is going to be taken a little bit differently for everyone, but Sunset is just so obvious, and it's such a stark contrast oftentimes from driver to driver to driver. Or, even if they look for the same apex point, they might, every driver's going to get there a slightly different way.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, Cam, you're back in the box after your little bit of a break. Just to bring you up to speed, well, that First Master Movano Racing 34 car did manage to get themselves past the number 13 of Virtual Motorsport, thanks to a move coming off of Sunset Bend and completing the move coming down in towards turn number 1. And now the next target on the 34 machines list is going to be that number 21 of Team GT HPD.
Yeah, which we saw was fighting earlier with that Virtual Motorsport machine as well. So good running there in the prototypes as Fabrice Cornelius and that Vendeville Sim Racing Blue car is looking to get on by. And just as time goes on, I think it's an interesting thing to also note is that there is a 70% driver rule, which basically means that no driver can do 70% of the laps. So you got to try to work your way and fit it. And just looking at the lap counts, everyone seems to be doing a pretty good job of keeping that. But I know that we have had in the past issues with drive time limits, so I figure we might as well put it out there now. Yeah, so figure if we put that out now, we'll be better off in the future. But either way, top 3 still Patrick Wolf from the Pure Racing Team LMP, Thrustmaster Movano Racing's Marcus Hamilton in the 2nd position, Vendeville Sim Racing Blue in 3rd, then Vendeville Sim Racing White is leading it in his Ferrari as Kaikkonen. And VRS Coanda Sim Sports, number 88, followed by 81. Actually, the 88 is just pulled onto pit lane, so 81 is now in your 2nd place, and Heisevelt Core Motorsports will most certainly be your 3rd position car, as climbing out of that VRS Coanda Sim Sport car is Renz Broekman. Climbing into that machine is Klaus Kivikas. And Randy, we've gone from Jeremy Bootloop to Renz Broekman to Klaus Kivikas, and they still can't catch that Vendeville Sim Racing White machine.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to be able to reel in that Vendeville Sim Racing White machine. It's all going to come down to strategy. I don't think anyone's going to have the raw speed here in the last 2 hours to reel him in, because they have spent the last 4 hours opening that gap up. And while I think Juan Lopez, with the quicker of the 2 drivers between himself and Kekkonen's just done a fantastic job to either stretch that gap out further or just at least make it stagnant, so that there's been no real there's been no real progress with those Coanda guys. They've just sort of been stuck there in P's number 2 and 3. They have a good gap over the Heisevelt Core Motorsports, though, and the rest of the GT field, really. So it's going to be interesting to see, though, if any strategy calls might come the way and see those guys come out. Also important to note, MSP Phoenix Racing, we're still keeping an eye on them. I'm not expecting them to come down pit lane just yet, because they, if you remember, were doing those long runs, and they just came down pit road around lap number 94, and I believe for the most part we're looking about 33 some odd laps, at least in that Ford machine, suspecting at least a half dozen or so, maybe even closer to 10 odd laps, at least from that Ford of Lucas Jedstad. And that's going to be something to keep an eye on, Cam, especially late in the race. Could they have some super short pit stop and maybe jump a spot?
Yeah, are they going to be the ones to perhaps beat him on the pit stops as Vendahl Sim Racing White's machine pulls in? Santeri Raikkonen, he'll hop out of that number 52 Ferrari from the lead. Manikati Soja will be climbing into that Vendahl Sim Racing White machine. The number 52 looking strong all day long. And, well, here comes the 81 Coanda Ferrari. And Joni Takkanen will be climbing out of that. Will Matt Backham be hopping back in? Perhaps no. It is going to be, yeah, David Williams. So it's so strange seeing these prototype legends, at least in my opinion, GT cars. I know they do this for blank paint. It just looks so weird to me. But either way, so it's going to be these guys having this next stint, David Williams versus Manikati Soja versus it will be the driver of Klaus Kivikas. So Connery, it's good to continue your rotations through. A couple of these guys will seeing the track for the very first time though this coming laps.
Yeah, they will be, and well, with all the rubber that's on the track, with the way the racing line is heating up, maybe it's a little bit different to what they were used to in practice. As again, I think VRS Concerns was still down on the lane, so it's going to be a full fuel stop, you would have thought, for
Should
that
be
VRS
fuel and tires.
Fuel and tires, yeah, to get themselves to the end. It's only one more double stint that they need to do to get towards the end of the race on the tires. So yeah, it is a full 1 minute 2 seconds for David Williams as he's off and away now. And you have to say one more stop for these GTE cars is required to get themselves towards the end now, and he will be off and away. Careful of that pit lane exits because there are rules surrounding that one, and rejoins the track relatively safely.
No issues there, so pit stop cycles completely underway. Bam Warkiva is there. As just looking through here right now, I'm not seeing any dramatic issues so far, though there is a slow car. Virtual Motorsports just got passed after they went for a loop through the hairpin, and actually we've just had the exact same incident that we saw with the Phoenix Motorsport machine not that long ago through the hairpin. It literally, Randy, the exact same incident with the number 13 and the number 77 exit of the hairpin that last lap. Roy Didrin there with Jurgen Frank doing the exact same thing that happened to that other car just, what, 20, 30 laps ago?
That's actually hilarious. That is quite literally an identical incident. It is, and it's not like, oh, the same outcome. No, it's the exact same thing. A Ferrari on the outside of the hairpin gets a good run while the prototype on the inside catches a little bit of has that little bit of a hiccup, and it's just such an awkward situation because it's the Ferrari, the GT car always has to move to driver's right because they do eventually run out of road. That said, they do run out of road, and then they could shift over to the left-hand side of the track if they really chose to. But you know, there is a little bit of room on the left-hand side of the track, so. That's, you know, we've seen the same incident twice in a row. It was an NFA last time, so I'd have to say if you're doing it should be an NFA.
I mean, it would make any sense to me to penalize somebody in that instance. I mean, he did come from literally, I think, at least 17 football fields away, but they were side by side entering the hairpin, and the exit of the hairpin is where the incident happened. So far away from that I just gotta say I can't see anything happening there, but I will notice, Connery, perhaps, you know, your opinion on the incident, but also I have noticed the number 2 HBD, he is wheeling that thing. Fabrice Cornelius in that Vendahl Sim Racing blue car, he is pushing that thing to the limit. The tail is sliding out, going into corners number 1. He's really swinging it back and forth. I think he might have just made contact with a car that was up ahead, the Team RSO GT car of Philip Schellenberg, but my goodness me, he is on it.
Yeah, this is Fabrice Cornelius all over driving for that Vendahl Sim Racing Blue. He really wants Vendahl to finally get a prototype win in a big event. They missed out at the Petit Le Mans. They missed out the Sports Car Open, and well, they got to hope that they don't miss out here in the New Endurance Series. But P3 is not going to be not going to be the P1 that they want right now. It's actually hoping to pull Motorsports down on towards the lane for your GTE field. And there's also a close battle I was keeping an eye on between the 88 and the 76. This is Klaus Kivickas and same RC to the IRS's Patrick Moser behind the wheel of that one. And the gap has spread out just a little bit over this first lap here, but they were bumper to bumper all the way.
Yeah, very close situations here. Still, we're watching, and something interesting here, Connery. Just looking at the the way this race is evolving. We've been talking about the fuel mileage that Ford is getting. MSP Phoenix Racing again is the last car to come down on the pit lane. And like I said just a little bit ago, we're going to expect them. I think they're going to run about 5 to 6 more laps here because I believe their open run was about 32 to 33 laps. And in D8, as I double check the numbers, indeed it was. And they came down at lap number 94, so they're now working lap number 122. So another 4 to 5 laps at least in the tanks of that number 85 machine, and that's got to be a really interesting thing going in towards these last couple stints. Because if you're Lucas Jedstad, if you're doing say 5 laps extra this run, you could theoretically go 10 extra going into the next one. That that margin might just double. Although granted, it's probably going to be more. That's likely a gap that's grown over the course of the race. So it's likely going to go to about 7 or 8, I would wager. But having a 7 to 8 lap advantage on fuel going into the last stop in the race, I mean, we're pushing 90 minutes left to go here pretty soon. 4 hours and 10 minutes already scored complete. For this MSP Phoenix guys, they might just have an opportunity. I don't think they're going to have a chance to win this race, but they might just be able to squeak at top 4, if not maybe snag a podium due to their fuel advantage.
Yeah, and we have to remember that MSP Phoenix Racing 85 in 4 GT, whereas the most of the top of the field here are all in Ferrari, so they're doing very, very well using the fuel advantage in that 4 GT to their advantage. And as a result, you said, like, what was it, like 1 second per lap in GT cars is the fuel flow rate on these cars. So that could be an 8-second advantage that they have on the lane coming towards the final stop.
I don't think it's 1 second per lap in the GT cars. The prototypes maybe. It depends, because the prototypes generally go a little bit more quickly, but it all depends. Because you're going to be burning in these cars. I'm trying to think. It's going to be less in the GTE cars than the GT3, because the way these cars are actually engineered is a lot more intricate than the GT3 cars are when it comes to fuel levels and fuel flows. So I know these cars burn less fuel than their counterparts in GT3. So maybe it actually might fall into around that 1 second mark per lap, but I think it's going to be a little bit less than that. But it's going to be a little bit more than that. So 1 lap, or 3 or 4 seconds per lap of fuel as it goes in. That's going to be my result. I don't know. That's a pretty large amount of time to have in your back pocket. They're going to lead a handful of laps here. It's a 25.9 gallon tank in the 4 GT. Can't now back.
Yes. So wifey is off to the shad. So I had to say goodbye because of course I love her, and without her I wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff. But either way,
she didn't divorce you or anything, did she? The way you said that.
She hasn't murdered me, so that's good. So it means I get to continue to do this at least for another round.
As long as it wasn't goodbye for the last time.
No, she just might be coming back from pizza. But either way, either way. She just wanted to show me her friend is like a backup driver, some guy by the name of Chris Roberts, so for NASCAR Cup Series. Either way, more important things happening right now. Torrent Motorsports exiting pit lane, Ross Balfour piloting that one. Team RSO's GT, after their driver was having some intermittent issues, they have pulled him out, Philip Schellenberg, and they have put Cedric Nebelsiak into the pilot seat of that car. And so we'll see what they can do as we're watching the battle between the 21, which is the Team GT HBD, and the 34, which is the Thrustmaster Bravado number 34. Connery, I gotta say, the Thrustmaster Bravado 33, that's the one to keep your eyes on. That's the lightning quick one, qualified second, running second. The number 34 car, not so much. They're running a very good mid-pack race, but it's still as good mid-pack.
Yeah, it is, and well, you have to say that they qualified 6th. They're currently running in P11, which isn't really the plan that any team wants to go for in a race, being 12 positions down on the qualifying position. But we'll see how this turns out once the rest of the pit stop cycles starts to finish here, and where they position themselves. We of course saw the 34 get past the 13 virtual motorsport just a couple of laps ago, and they have managed to catch themselves back up to the back of the 21 GT HPD. The difference in pace is quite large here, because you've got about 0.3 of a second. Thrustmaster Movano is faster than Team GT at the moment, so you could say that this move might be inevitable. It just is a matter of how long it's going to take for Movano.
Yeah, and well, I mean, it's good to have 2 bullets in the gun. Honestly, I think that this is it's always good to have 2 cars. I think especially for larger teams, it's kind of a necessity, really. As Randy, the Ford is leading again in GT due to pit stops. Lucas Yesnak.
You missed this conversation already.
I did. Oh, I did. Okay, so I'm just throwing it out there. I know you guys were talking about the fuel numbers and all that stuff like that. It's interesting how this seems to be gapping to where he seems to be leading longer between the pit stops now.
Well, that's going to be because he's going further and further. And like I said when we were talking with Connery, we just saw Pro Motorsports come down a couple laps ago. And we saw pretty much the rest of the GT field come down a little bit before that. The thing to keep in mind is the fact that MSP Phoenix Racing is going out there. They're still logging laps. And I think we're going to expect them down within the next 3 to 4 laps. As I said, my fuel window for them is lap 127, lap 128, and that's about 6 or 7 laps. I think it'll be 5 laps ahead when their high slope it was just recently when Gigashubi got back in the car. That was 122. So that's going to be 5 laps extra over them. That's going to be 8, 9, maybe 10 laps further compared to the Coanda cars and a couple other cars in this class as well. So it is one of those situations where I don't think they're going to be in a situation to win the race, because the thing to keep in mind is that they're leading before the pit stops after people come down pit lane. And everyone, you're going to have one more pit stop cycle here in about 40 minutes time, 50 minutes time. You can pit on the early side of that, or you can push the tank of fuel and pit late. But either way, you're going to have about it's not going to be a short stop. It'll be about a 2/3 stop, about half stop. So probably the shortest of the one you've done, but it's not going to be just a splash and dash. And they should have the shortest pit stop of everybody, as they've now, no, never mind, I take that back. As they have cycled, did they come down pit lane?
Yes, they did.
They came down pit lane and I missed it. So
as we were talking, literally as we were talking. So the gap is 5 laps between them pitting and Vendables Sim Racing White pitting, because Vendables Sim Racing White pitted 5 laps ago, and that is what put them up. But either way, interesting, as we were watching the battle between Team GT and Thrustmaster Movano Racing intensifying, I think, Connery, it's pretty safe to say that Team GT car is lightning quick in a straight line, but once you get to the wiggly sections, that Movano car is all over them.
The wiggly sections is, of course, the technical term that you use for racing circuits when you have slow-speed sections, yes. But as you said, that definitely seems to be the case right now. Movano perhaps running a little bit of a higher wing setting on that prototype to help them through the corners here. We've discussed this before, where you can pretty much run any sort of downforce setting around here, and because of the nature of the track, all of them seem to have their pros and cons, and all of them seem to be relatively equal. It's just driver preference when it comes to choosing one over the other, but still, no gap appearing for Falau here. And, well, as I said, it's just going to be a matter of time and a matter of when.
Yeah, and for Piazza, I mean, how much do you want to risk? We're not racing for the final stint. We're not racing for the final lap. So how much do you want to risk against the Dion Fiallo in that number 34 Movano Thrustmaster machine? But either way,
speaking of one of the Movano Thrustmaster machines, they come down on the pit lane right now. Marcus Hamilton, he's in the lane, and this is going to be close, I think, Connery, on whether or not they can make it to the end from here. This is going to be really tight.
Yeah, because they're all...
Well, not from here, I mean on one more stop.
Yeah, exactly, and well, it's going to be a 29 lap stint for them, but here comes the move for the 34 on the 21, coming down the Ullman Straight, and well, Thrustmaster Movano will have to have the outside line, coming in towards Sunset Bend. There's a little bit of lap traffic that's going to impede. They have to split around both sides of them coming down into Sunset Bend. Still inside line for Team GT, trying to fend off this move, heading their way across the stripe, coming onto lap 135.
Yeah, side by side through the entirety of the Ullman Straight, Sunset Bend, and now into corner number 1. It should go to Thrustmaster Movano's Team GT. Might have the opportunity for the undercut. No, he didn't do it right. He put the brake on just in the middle of the corner, but either way, I don't think he wanted to set himself up for side-by-side going through corners number 2 and 3 and all that, because that is a very bad section trying to do that. But fantastic maneuvering from that Movano 34, Randy. I wouldn't be too surprised if he doesn't put Danilo away and really start gapping out. But interesting thing to note here, who's come down pit lane was not only SRN Motorsports machine of Scott McGarvey, who is now transferred out for Mike Young, but also the other machine that had come on down pit lane, if I can remember who the heck that was. But either way, pit stops start to come right on through it. Yeah, it was the Thrustmaster Movano LP33, whereas Marcus Hamilton's hopped out. Tommaso Carla's now hopped back in.
Yeah, so Carlo's back on the machine, and he should be pretty much fine here in terms of driver allowances to make it to the end. But, you know, talking about that move with Movano, it was a great move by Movano to pick that spot up, but I cannot speak highly enough of the driving of Shinya Mishimi Racing, and that's Krishmir Krishnicki, whose name I just completely obliterated right there in the pronunciation. But that was some of the best driving I've ever seen in terms of GT stuff. That is, you know, me and Connery a little bit ago were talking about how awesome, you know, one of the reasons I love this racetrack is the fact that Sunset Bend is so intricate, and the fact that every, you know, driver will essentially take that corner a little bit differently, and there's all these different lines. That's probably the most difficult circuit, I would say, almost in the world, to have 2 prototypes come up on you and have to go 3 wide. Yeah, there's a lot of room, but if you get stuck in a line you're not used to being on, it can make things very difficult. And that was well done by him to just sort of hold his nerve, and, you know, he may have waited to get on the throttle a little bit longer than he normally would have, but he didn't really just dive out of it and just open up the parachutes either. So that was very well done by him. That could have been a very, very scary situation had that not panned out.
Not only that, we've seen Ferraris in situations like that. They lose the rear and they start skidding, and that's an easy thing to do on Sunset Bend. You can start losing traction. You hit bump, 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 bump. That bump or two, you can hit the wrong bump at the wrong time when you're off throttle, upset the car. The Ford seems to be able to control it a little bit more, as Krasimir Prasniki did a wonderful job in that 63.
May have been a better attempt for you.
As we hope to see that on the Twitter feed, if they can get a GIF, somebody figure that out there on the Shinya Mishimi Sim Racing Twitter account. But either way, yeah, fantastic driving, and we're happy to see that. A couple of more cars coming in down through pit lane right now is Ronaldo Lorena. Normally I see him, what was he? He was a Phoenix driver, wasn't he, for the Corvette? Now he's in the SimRC.de Iris Ferrari, Randy, and looks to me like he might be heading out on track for the very first time all race. Yes, he is.
It'll be interesting to see what Ray's going to be able to do. I was teammates with Ray at one point, and you know, I sort of saw him, the early development of him as a driver in the team racing. He was someone that was at one point really quick, and he sort of needed to be molded a little bit into that understanding of how to actually run these events. And I think he got a decent idea from Phoenix. That said, I will say that the Corvette effort that year that he was in for this Neo Endurance Series was, let's just say, not very good, not very strong whatsoever. But, you know, good to see him moving up in the world into this SimRC machine. And while they might be a little bit further down the order than they'd like, I think just outside of the top 10, he's coming in and he's going to be entrusted with getting this car to the end more than likely here on this roughly double stint. So good for Ray. Hopefully he can, you know, hopefully he's improved a lot since the last time I've really seen him race, and hopefully he can get it home clean here and maybe pick up a couple spots before that checker flag flies.
I will say, if he is just electing which team to drive for based on their paint scheme, he is doing a wonderful job. We got to remember that Phoenix Corvette was absolutely lovely. I love that Corvette.
Real talk, half the reason I decided to merge the World Sport was Phoenix because I loved the Phoenix.
Yeah, those paint schemes are wonderful. Way
I
better than anything that
remember Joris asked, he's like, what team name should we go? They're like, we're sticking with Phoenix, Joris. It's fine. It's great.
Cooler.
I will take this. I'll bow down and go to the better team.
Kiss the ring, yeah. And so for him to now move to SimRC, I love their paint schemes. I love that the shattered black to the faded white with the checkered on the front. I love that. Either way, sorry, we're getting distracted. There's a motor race going on. So good for Ray. But either way, he's actually got his target just up front a little bit. Thrustmaster Movano Racing's GTE, number 69 of Luke Van Schaik. He's not that far ahead up the road, so perhaps we could be seeing that later. We've seen pit stops as the Venable Sim Racing Blue has come into the pit stop right now. He just came on down pit lane for Vispar. He might be staying into the end. Maybe they just put Dakota Rip into the car, lap 59 to lap 112, and that's going to be his day, because I can't imagine them trying to risk doing a driver change for the last pit stop. So perhaps for Vispar, as he gets way behind Robert Tinsey. He's very conservative on his corner exit. He has to jump out of the way of that number 2 car, Connery. But perhaps he's almost done for the day on pit stops. He's getting ready to rock and roll. He's going to go on the inside of his teammate, pateicigs, in the Ferrari.
Yeah.
Hello everybody, my name is Kirk, and welcome to
just get themselves by just right about now as they do so, heading into towards 10 and 15. But yeah, it's still, pit window is kind of wide open at this moment in time for your prototypes. You will be able to get to the end from here on one more stop. So, you know, this is where the strategies start coming into play. Where did you take your shortest stop? And if you at all had taken your shortest stop yet in this race. And, well, let's just see how this one turns out, because Core Sim Racing prototype and I think it was the Black Adam First Master number 17 car all took their short stops that last time. They did 31 seconds, 32 seconds stationary in their pit stall that last time. And Pure Racing Team, I think they have yet to take their short stop as well. So they might be going all the way on this stint up to around about 28, 29 laps. So the next couple of laps they'll be in, and then maybe taking that short stop right at the end.
And Gianni Vecchio, he has come in from second position in his SimRC.TV Crimson, obviously cycled through pit stop, so that's why he was up to second position. He'll be dropped down to the 10th position in GT, and that'll allow, I will say, that Vendable machine of pateicigs, it has just been lightning quick all day. Between all 3 drivers, Juan Lopez, Terry Dykeman, pateicigs, all 3 of them are going lightning fast. So very good on them. And then we've sort of reset the GTE field, Randy. We've gotten sort of done with our pit stop now. A couple of other cars might still need to come in, but for the most part, everyone's come in. The interesting thing to note, though, is this current break between MSP Phoenix Racing's Ford, the Heisenberg Core Motorsports Ferrari, who are in 4th and 5th, and your front 3. They are on 2 different pit strategies. Vendable Sim Racing came in 10 laps ago. The Coanda Boys came in both 11 and 10 laps ago, respectively. We've got MSP Phoenix coming in at 6 laps ago, and the Heisenberg Core Motorsports coming in 8 laps ago. So very interesting to see how that is going to develop when we've got the final pit stop that's going to be hopefully coming up within the hour.
It's actually really interesting, because we've been seeing this MSP Phoenix car, and if memory serves, this car has basically been sitting in 5th all race long, and they have been able to jump that Hoisingville Core Motorsports car of Kei Kajimi. I'm not sure if Kei and them had some sort of issue, or if they took a really, really long stop, or if, you know, the MSP Phoenix guys, if they might have underfilled. But I think MSP Phoenix, they're now up +1, because I was originally projecting them to be somewhere around 5th, win this, well, to be in 5th, actually, win that last stop cycle through here in about 30 to 40 minutes time. Well, depending when you take it, it could go a little bit later than that. But, you know, I'm not sure what happened, but I think MSP Phoenix is just up +1 in the strategy right now.
So let's take a look here. Let's see if we can find somebody to go on board with the fan immersion. I know we've done a lot of onboard with the prototypes and the Ferraris. Let's see if we can find a Ford to stick with here. You know what? Here we go. It's Carl Monique, the SRM Motorsports Orange Machine, as he is chasing down Torque Freak Racing. Let's go RaceSpot TV. Fan immersion here on iRacing Live. On the outside is the Core Sim Racing prototype of Maxine Polly. He'll clear both of these Fords. And let's watch this Ford battle between Carl Modig and George Gruber around the Sebring International Raceway.
and that's a just an individual mistake.
Yeah, it was almost like he had left himself way wide to even let the leader go through. And perhaps Tommaso Carla with the draft, perhaps something had gone amiss. Perhaps he just missed the corner. Tommaso Carla drove in way deep as we're getting a replay of that right now. Hopefully, anyways, as Tommaso Carla there at lap 141. As we got the lap as Roy Dydrin, I think he was actually going, it'll go his second lap down for that virtual motorsport car. I can say I seriously don't think that he did anything wrong. Connery, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of think that was sort of in a 2-into-1 instant sort of deal right there. You could say, oh, there's still more space on that outside that lap traffic could have taken, but there comes a point where, you know, how much space as lap car do you have to give if the lead car is just pushing out on you in the middle of the corner like that? And I have to say, I'm surprised that Movano went that one extra lap nursing the damage as well before deciding to head their way in. So that must have lost them more time yep, that could possibly it. But the thing is, they would have been okay to the end almost anyway. So I'm not sure what that was about.
Well, no, they won't be good at all. It depends when that last stop comes, because they can only do about 50 minutes.
They were on the edge.
It was sort of on the edge, and I think for them, I think making sure you could get to the end is probably the better bet than potentially risking it. You know, it's probably just a little bit better to maybe lose, even if you lose 6-7 seconds on the racetrack, lose that 6-7 seconds and then ensure that you don't have to come down the lane once.
We've seen replays from just about quite literally every single angle here on RaceSpot TV. But either way, meanwhile, while we've been doing that, they've replaced the entire rear clip of Tommaso Carla's HBD. So brand new piece bolted onto the back. So the car should be okay. It only seemed to have rear damage, so it should be all right. And we'll see here what that Tommaso Carla can do. Now, they are one lap down officially. That's not good. Obviously, Patrick Wolf, if you are hearing this, just absolutely gun it. Go for it, push, 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 because the only person that could really put competition on you has now had an incident, and your second and third place, Connery, is a minute and 16 and a minute and 26 respectively behind.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, side by side for P at number 7 overall it was, between Probatum Racing and A-Yoke Racing, and A-Yoke Racing will just drop behind for now, with Probatum Racing making that pass coming down in towards the hairpin. As deep on the brakes goes the number 14, almost running into the back of Probatum Racing ahead of them, and they will negotiate the traffic in the form of that VRS Quentin Sport number 81 car piloted by David Williams there. But that was a little bit of move of desperation there for the number 14, trying to just find any advantage they can, but it just didn't work out, and now they've definitely lost the position with the gap that Probatum Racing has managed to pull out. And, well, they've just made their way down the inside of that traffic right now, so they're going to be down in towards P number 8, but P number 8 is still a relatively decent finish, if it finishes like it is, considering the such a high standard that this field has.
I was going to say, verbatim, they've been on the defense pretty much all race long, always defending, always defending. Now, Jose Almeida, well, he is very comfortably on the attack now, finally, as a change for once. Also, I just like to think that something I noticed as we were watching that battle, just the amount of marbles that has accumulated and dirt that has accumulated on this racing track and off the racing track. I mean, the exit of corner number 13, it is just a mountain of scrag from the tires. And either way, so it just goes to show you, especially with how dark these lines have become on the racing surface. It's taken a while, Randy, to dial everything in, to dial the marbles, to dial in how the track surface looks. I mean, I remember when it would be two pitch black lines where the tires were. We still get that a little bit, but it looks far, far better than whatever it used to be.
Oh, trouble, Cam. Sorry to interrupt here, but this is MSP Phoenix, number 85. They were fighting with the Heinz Core Motorsports Ferrari. They lost that position coming through Sunset Bend. I was going to wait for you to toss at me before I threw to this, but as they went into one, issues for Lucas Jetstadt through corner number 1. They didn't hit anything. I'm not sure what happened there. I don't know if he hit a bump weird. Yeah, I know he had to back out of it, but I know Lucas Jetstadt, very, very troublesome issue there. Lost a little bit of time, and luckily for him, that could have been a major incident. We could have seen a car in the wall there in turn 1 once again. He did a good job to not end up in the wall.
He had a great entry into corner number 1. There was one problem. That's Kate Kashubi had a vehicle that he was driving literally right where the apex would have been for that Ford, so he had to back out. Once he backed out, he moved the wheel a little bit. He got a massive shimmy going on. If this was a Ferrari, I think we would have seen the rear end kick out, because we've already seen that happen twice today. But Lucas Yestak in his Ford there was able to keep it on. He had to slow up a little bit. He is now comfortable, though he has lost probably about a good 2 seconds, I would say, off the rear of Kate Kashubi. So will this threaten that pit stop plan that Ford team is putting together for MSP Phoenix or not? We will see. But either way, drama's developing as the battle for what will be the 35th position overall, still looking strong. The 86 car versus the 61 versus the 82 versus the 75. It's a 4-car train here, Connery, fighting at Sebring International Raceway.
Yeah, it is. And I want to go back to the incident with the 85 because you can see why that he backed out of that one and had to swerve right, because the brake lights of the Heukensville Motorsports car ahead of him were just flashing and maybe trying to avoid any sort of incident coming down into there. So good heads-up driving there for MSP Phoenix Racing, even though it did put them wide and into the...
Yeah. And you know what? Let's see if we can go on board with Carl Modig again in that SRM Motorsports Orange machine, or maybe the Evolution Racing team of Jordi Lopez, because I can only imagine what's looking out that front windshield right now. How about we go with the 82 right now? Go on board with him, and we'll ride along in his Ford as he drives along. That's a Ferrari? Yes, it is. I see that now. As I was just looking out the roll bar. You can see him going on the inside or on the outside right now of the car of Torque Freak Racing's George Gruber, and the prototypes have kind of ruined this for us. But for the most part, though, it is very strange near the end of the race to see a stack of machines like this. You've got Shinya Machini.
Oh, a little bit of contact there coming in towards turn number 10, and Torque Free Racing still ahead there, but door-to-door contact between the 61 and the 82 coming down in towards the braking zones. Yeah, more prototype traffic trying to come through on these guys. There's Vendeval Sim Racing Blue P number 2 in your prototype field. As yes, this is basically incident immersion right now, as Cam says, as they will file their way through. But there's a very close moment coming down into turn 10.
Yeah, very high dramas here towards the end of the race. Shinya Machimi is piloting the Shinya Machimi Sim Racing machine. He's the one that's leading this bunch, and they're in 46th position. It's not for the win here in GTE. Let's be real here, but it is for position. Shinya Machimi, he's breaking away courtesy of that. Guillermo Rakadon in that 86 machine. He is covering right now. With the cars of George Gruber and Jordi Lopez, and then you've got Carl Modi. All in a line, and then not that far behind is Sindre Senses, that Blue Flag Racing machine, and not that far behind is Marcel Tai in that Heisenfeld Ford. So it's all starting to come off here, Randy, in the GT division, as Guillermo Rakadon, he almost loses the rear, and that will allow George Gruber in the Ford to potentially go on the attack.
Get things here as we approach
the
hour of... Oh, big incident! There, you see one car going off there at turn number 2, and, well, he's not in the wall, but he's very close to it there. Is Yama Rakadon in the BAM Thrustmaster number 86, and now he's going to try to have to get that Ferrari out of the crash. Oh, that was very, very close with traffic.
Oh, he put it in the wall.
Yeah, he did clip the wall there, but he kind of had no choice. He sort of had to drive it across the track as quickly as he could, because you had those prototypes coming through, and that may actually catch the eye of the stewards, the fact that he drove across the track like that. Yes, there wasn't contact, but that was very, very close and could have been disastrous if he had, broken to try to not hit that wall.
He did more damage to his car spinning it around than any damage that he had collected from that Ford on the inside. I don't... Drivers. Okay, all right, we're going to have to talk about it. Drivers, you can disable your traction control. You hit the arrow button, disable your traction control, or whatever the Ferrari version of it is, because you can't have that in GTE, and punch it. Put the clutch in, punch it. He tried that like twice, and it does the pit stop stall thing, and that's why he couldn't spin it around, and then he slams into the inside wall, then he backs into it, and then he drives into the wall to turn himself around. Drivers should practice this, Randy. Maybe it's because I'm not that great of a driver, so I'm constantly finding myself crashing off into the woods somewhere. but you gotta practice how to get the car around in tight situations so this doesn't happen. I feel very unfortunate. I feel bad for Guilherme Rakadon. He had to get that car around. It was a very tight spot to do so, but my goodness, that could have been done 10 different ways, and I think 9 of those ways would have been better.
It is one of those situations, Cam, you're right, that you have to have something bound as a, the traction control override, as I believe the technical terminology for it. And for anyone who actually does racing, something that I advise, if you have a wheel that has a dial on it, such as a Thrustmaster T300, something along those lines, there's a lot of wheels that it doesn't, well, maybe not a dial, but it has basically a selector switch. You can basically do right or left and revert back to center. Most of those have a function as well that you can push them in the middle. If that's the case, use that as your traction control overrides, punching that in the middle, simply put, because then you have all your controls for your traction control, be it up, down, or to turn it off for that slight moment in time, all on the same button, all on the same part of the wheel. Because you're absolutely right, Kim. If he had that, I think he might have been able to just whip that car around. That said, still, I still think he drove across track a little bit early there with those prototypes coming through. That was a little bit scary.
Yeah, that was not good. Meanwhile, we've just been watching along Vecchio. He pulled a maneuver on the outside of Sunset Bend on Ras Balfour. Torrent Motorsports Ferrari versus Ferrari, as he is working very hard right now, Vecchio, to get that car up and ahead and wherever he can get it to. But either way, I gotta say, for what we saw, I mean, if you have a G27, you can do it. And obviously your front 6 buttons aren't gonna work, but you've got your shifter on the side, right? Use the number pad, they have a little 4-button box. Well, not
everyone's got a keyboard though.
Comes with it. Everyone's got a keyboard though. So you should always have something to adjust that without needing to use the mouse or the in-game F3 box. But either way, okay, rant over there, sorry. And Connery, I'm sure you've got probably something on that as well. But either way, just good battles in GT kicking off, and we haven't even hit the last hour mark yet.
Yeah, indeed, and we have an incident under investigation that was the incident between the 61 of Tokyo Racing and the Blackadder Motorsports number 86 car, and meanwhile we have a result of another protest that was pending. That was between the Blackadder Motorsport Thrustmaster 17 car and the number 57 car, which would be the Inex Racing GTE car. There's going to be a stop and hold penalty for 15 seconds for the number 17 car is responsible for an incident. So this may be a double penalty right now coming through for Blackadder Motorsports if they're not careful.
Yeah, and just watching along now, Torrent Motorsports Ras Balfour, I believe he picked up the eyes of the marshals and had to give back some time. I think he had to pull off to the side and slow up a little bit, so I think he had to give some time back to the marshals to avoid the ire of them. As Gianni Vecchio, he made that maneuver on the outside, very comfortable there. Well, that really split this GTE battle, but you know what? It is still going strong between the Evolution Racing Team's number 82 and the Blue Flag Racing Sendre Setsas in the 53 machine there, Randy. And not to be foreboding or anything like that, but the driver of Sendre Setsas, as he goes to the inside and runs the inside bumper, well, he's got a very Halloween-themed helmet, and it is a skull, so hopefully that is not indicative of what might happen here.
Yeah, hopefully not indeed, as they work themselves now out of Tower Corner on the run down into Bishop, but a lot of traffic behind them as well. You have one of your race leaders of Kei Kashubi, he runs fourth. You have a couple of other GT cars buried back there, and you also have 2 prototypes, both first and fourth. You have Pure Racing Team who leads, and Tommaso Carlo, who after that incident is on the recovery drive looking to unlap himself.
Yeah, and Jordi Lopez, he covered his corners, but Sindri Setsas in that number 53, so very close. And here comes Kei Kashubi. This is totally not per position. Kei Kashubi is just a lapping machine. He is just trying to get on by, leans to the inside of the BFR machine. He'll get that position. But either way, it's really all starting to kick off. And here comes the leaders to introduce even more chaos into this. It's Patrick Wolf in the Pure Racing Team LMP car, and he's going to try to work his way here through this very busy Sebring International Raceway. And
Movano unlapping themselves.
Yeah, Movano unlapping themselves.
Yep, and they'll make their way through on the traffic right now, so...
Oh, your leader! Pure Racing Team off the track. Pure Racing Team off the track. That's Patrick Wolf. Slight little contact there with a Ford GT machine. That was the Heinzfeld number 78 car. Going through into corner number 2, as I believe Hugo is now deaf. So Hugo, I look forward to you learning sign language both in Portuguese and English. Before you come to
Bump. I don't think it's a penalty, but either way, for Patrick Wolf, car doesn't seem damaged. It's driving fine.
82 and 53, they're still going at it, Cam, while you're talking. They let your Hokusai Motorsports through.
By.
Yeah, and now they were still taking it side by side, deep on the brakes, because Evolution Racing Team almost running into the back of your P number 4 Hokinsveld Core Motorsports team is there. Bumper to bumper, here comes down the inside is Blue Flag Racing coming through Le Mans corner. Now will not get the run off the corner. Here comes Patrick Wolf, yeah, again, trying to get these around these guys.
Just get me out of here,
safely this time. Yeah, exactly, but here comes Blue Flag. Here comes Blue Flag. They're going to have the inside line for Sunset Bend, but as we know, all of the lines work around here, so it's not necessarily an advantage, but they'll get the advantage towards the apex of the corner, but they probably won't get the run off, so that will go to Evolution Racing Team 82, as I was actually wrong. It was completely equal runs off the corner, as it's a slight advantage to Evolution Racing Team heading down to 1.
Drag race going down to corner number 1. It'll go to Jordi Lopez's Ferrari, but here comes Blue Flag Racing with a perfectly timed crossover. He should be able to get a nose going into corner number 2, but will he? No, he will not. He'll lean it there, but perhaps trying to unsettle the ERT machine, but there was nothing in it as far as the actual attack goes. High drama here, and Randy, for Patrick Wolf, he's got to be wiping his brow. He knows that they weren't doing that intentionally. It wasn't bad driving or anything like that, but he found himself in a bad part of town.
Yeah, that's one of the worst situations to be in as you lead in a prototype approaching 1 hour to go in the race. Just, you know, in that sort of situation where it's not just, you know, it's one thing to be in a big gaggle of cars, and Blue Flag and ERT are still side by side, and they run through into the Fangio chicane. And this is actually a pretty difficult part of the racetrack to run side by side. Normally each car has to let up, but on the brakes into Cunningham, Blue Flag has the advantage. But ERT, if you can get the run out of here, or the run down through Collier, you can get the advantage with a little bit of a tap. It's Sandro Sastas. He's going to take a position away, and you see lights flashing from Jordi Lopez Jr. This is just good, clean, hard racing. Jordi, I think, a little bit frustrated. Yeah, a little bit of contact, but guess what? In good, hard racing, you're going to get some wheel-to-wheel contact at certain points. Back to the point on Patrick Wolf. You know, it's just a situation where, you know, it can be stressful when you end up in a gaggle of cars and none of them are fighting for position. But to end up in a situation where you have a handful of cars that are fighting for spots, and especially as fiercely as these guys are approaching the last round of pit stops, the worst situation to be in. And then, you know, one little mistake from someone just like that, yeah, that was a very, very small mistake. Yeah, it didn't, you know, have any dire consequences on the car, but that's going to be a big, big, scary moment for Pat Wolf as we approach 1 hour to go.
Yeah, and it has been good battling. They've sorted themselves out. Carl Modig, I think he's picked up a little bit of right front damage, so he's not as fast as he would have liked to have been. Lucas Esat is finding himself trying to continue to have a good race here, but after that brief moment of going off track for that MSP Phoenix 85, he's back a little bit. But either way, just a note of clarification before the next dramatic moments happen. So there is BAM and there's Blackadder Motorsport, and apparently those are two different things. There's BAM Esport, and then there's Blackadder Motorsport, who has shortened themselves to BAM. So your Blackadder Motorsport machine is going to be the 66 car, which is BAM Workiva, and then BAM Thrustmaster is the BAM Esport machine, if that wasn't confusing enough. I mean, at least they're not running the same paint schemes, Randy.
Let's see, let's go down the list, Cam. We have BAM and BAM. There's Core and Core. Yep. There's Heinzfeld Core and Team Heinzfeld. There's Apex and Virtual Apex.
There's two different Thrustmaster teams.
There's two, yeah, there's Thrustmaster Jim and Thrustmaster Mavon. So pro tip, if you guys are going to make a sim racing team, for the love of God, please do a little research.
Come up with something.
And yes, come up with something a little bit new. You know, because it is sort of, there's, like I said, there's about 10 or so teams that they all use very, very similar names. That said, I'm starting a new team, so if you'd like to join my new team, Team Redline, send me a team.
Yeah, oh boy. Either way, I gotta also say, somebody in chat, David Haynes, has said there's only one huge ass, and I gotta say,
Yeah, and it's
where
him.
is... Yeah, right. But where is the huge ass machine?
Thing is, I want to see the VRS Commander Core Scimitar esport team. Like,
I once did a 24-hour Nürburgring race, and Coanda and Core actually joined forces for that, and they were Coreanda.
But either way, I gotta say, I'm very sad that the huge ass machine is not here. It's even seasonal. It's seasonal for their sponsor, the Dickens cider, which apple cider for every occasion.
I hate you so much.
Me too at times. Trust me. I'm trying to get everything out before we hit the final final hour mark, and we actually have to do our jobs. But either way, I mean, it has just been a sensational last 15 minutes. And the weirdest thing, Connery, this isn't even for like the lead of the GT race. This is back in like 20th position. This is fantastic stuff.
Yeah, it really is, and well, we haven't had that many battles at the front of your fields, but the mid-pack battles have been absolutely brilliant, and Blue Flag Racing again closing up on the brakes coming into turn number 10. No opportunity appearing for them at the moment, even though they were half a second faster on that last lap. So Sindre Sestas definitely with the pace right now. There was a car pulled off, Sim Racing pulled off to the side of the track in turn number 13, I believe that was.
Another hardware failure. Yeah, that's another hardware failure right there for the Ford. Shinny Machini realized something was going wrong. He pulled left. He got on the brakes. He was having an issue, and he kind of phased in and out there. And Shinny Machini, he is now back on the racing surface, and he is now driving his machine. Also, Torrent Motorsports. We were wondering about this. Torque Freak, excuse me. Yeah. I knew that, but I messed it up. But yes,
didn't.
Torque
You
Freak.
can thank him.
No, Connery didn't. But the Torque Freak racing machine, I knew the car, just not the number, not the one correctly, I suppose. But George Gruber is going to be happy to be pulling that in next time by for a 15-second stop and hold penalty. And this is for bumping the leader, Randy. And I mean, did it damage anything? No, not really. But
wait, no,
that was a different incident.
Yeah, that was a different car. That wasn't even Torque Freak.
Then which one was Torque Freak's incident then?
So hold on, that's what we 61.
Yeah, because that was a different car altogether. It was a Ford. Got that going for me. It was a Heisenfeld Ford that hit the rear end of the leader. I think it was. Yeah. Well, it tells you in the
this happened
thing.
A while ago.
It tells you right in the Google documents what the two cars are involved. I'm hoping by knowing what two cars were involved, I would know what it.
Oh right, but I need to find the timestamp.
This happened 10 laps ago. Let's see. It was with the 86 machine, and the 86 machine is the BAM Thrustmaster machine. So when did they have an issue? I mean, I see a little bit of left-hand damage on that machine. So perhaps I'm trying to think. Connery, do you got anything?
No, I don't. I would have thought that one of you guys would be already, but there we go.
Maybe it's just something we missed. It's just something we missed. Randy will tell us. Yeah, Randy will tell us later as Hugo, I'm sure, is yelling and his cats are going for cover. Meanwhile, let's just go through the top threes while we look that up. Pure Racing Team LMPs. Patrick Wolf is currently in the lead with a 1 and 10 second lead over from Luis Cornelius. Oh, here we go.
I have it. George is the one who sent around the Ferrari that we were yelling about not having a traction control kit.
Oh, that's right. I knew it was that corner. That's why I thought he bumped the leader. All right, I knew it was something like that. Yes, that was the traction control. I'm sorry, I yelled at a guy and I don't even remember I did it. Anyways, position number 3 in your prototype is Maxine Polly of the Corsim Racing prototype machine. That number 22 going strong here today. Vendaval Sim Racing White is leading your GT category. That number 52 of Marikari Soja. He is working strong as he's only got him and VRS Coanda Sim Sport on the same lap, and he has got a gap. Klaus Kivikas is running at that number 88 Coanda machine as they run in second position. VRS Coanda Sim Sport's number 81 effort is David Williams. They are sitting in third. And then we'll just go in fourth and fifth here. Heisenfeld Core Motorsports in fourth, and then MSP Phoenix Racing in fifth. And you've got Ferrari, Ford, and then you've got, I think, 11 more Ferraris before you get to the next Ford, which is Torque Freak Racing, which they're about to serve that.
Not for long.
Yeah, not for long. Meanwhile, we've got the battle between the 34 and the 26. This is the other Movano machine, just making a maneuver, trying to cover from the Evolution Racing Team number 26 machine of Paul Malokis. So Paul Malokis is in on this. I've seen a lot of Skip Barber 2K World Series drivers in this thing, and boy, oh boy, are they doing a good job here countering.
Yes, they are, and the advantage was to Evolution Racing Team that last time by the order of, it's looking like around about 7/10 of a second was their advantage that last time by. So Maxime Briand not really having great luck with the traffic, it was suspected, with losing that much time on that past lap. It just brings Paul Malokis back into the challenging to get Evolution Racing Team back in towards that top 10 position. You have to remember that Evolution Racing Team, this very car, this 26 car, started P number 3. So they haven't been having a great race at all. They could be running inside the top 5 right now, but an earlier incident has just meant that they drop back through the field somewhat.
Yeah, and just looking throughout now, perhaps to see what other battles we can get. I believe Probatum is right locked horns with Team Chimera. They're just a little bit apart from each other, Randy. They seem to be working fairly good. I got to start wondering, though, perhaps we've got not pit stops coming up immediately, but we do have pit stops on the horizon. They're about halfway through their stint right now, Probatum is. 15 laps on theirs, 14 laps on Chimera's stint length. And I'm just starting to wonder here, whereabouts is that going to lead us as Probatum gets a car, squeezes a fork between the two of them? Where is that going to leave us as far as time for how much fuel we're going to have to take, how much time is going to be at the end of this race, and they have to come down for pits?
Like you said, it's all going to depend on their strategy when they actually come down on the pit lane. You know, like you said, it's been Probatum, they've pit relatively recently, only about 14 laps ago. They're about a little over a third or so, not quite halfway, but close to being there on their stint. And, you know, pretty much the same story, I believe, for Chimera, as I look for it now. And no, they actually came down a little bit more recently. So under 10 laps of running for Chimera. And it's, you know, it's going to go a couple of different ways here in terms of, you know, Probatum's going to have to take more. Chimera might be able to underfill. That said, downforce trim levels could also play into this as well, because if you have a slightly more trimmed out aero kit, you might be able to take a little bit less fuel. If you're on higher downforce, you might need more. It's also important to note that I think what we're really going to see be interesting is the pit stop sequences in the GT field, because everything's so close there that we could potentially see some positional changes. I think most notably with that MSP Phoenix car, you know, them going on this long strategy all race long. Expect for them to maybe have a short stop. I think they might be able to jump that number 55 and maybe, just maybe, be able to catch up to the 81, be somewhere near the 81 machine. But it's going to be a very, very interesting last round of pit stops. GT fuel window pretty much opens right here, right now. Prototypes, we probably expect them to open up in about 15 minutes, maybe closer to 20 if you want to be safe 100%.
You know, interesting thing, Lucas Yestak, he just went through Sunset Bend. His car basically hit idle through the middle section of that corner. I'm just going to listen back to it just because I want to make sure. Yeah, he let that thing sit at idle for a very long time. And I know, obviously, with Sunset Bend, you're doing that anyways. I almost wonder if perhaps they aren't trying to get that thing a little bit longer in the fuel stint than it might normally be able to carry. And that would be an interesting thing to see between what that Ford can do against the fleet of Ferraris. But either way, interesting things are turning as we have hit, Hugo Louis, the 5-hour mark of this 6-hour endurance race. And let's take a look at the top 8 in both classes as we are closing in now. Not that long to go, as we have got but 58 minutes to go here in the Neo Endurance Series round opener for season number 4, the one with the GTE machine. So, we've got the Pure Racing Team LMP. That is Patrick Wolf. He has comfortably been in the lead with his co-driver, Maximilian Benecca. as Patrick will probably be taking it all the way to the end. Vendables, Sim Racing Blue, Fabrice Cornelius, and Zakota Fripp, they have been doing a great race. They started in the 5th position. Now, there has been no conflagrations, so every position they have made has been made on the raw, in the actual race itself, not taking advantage of mistakes. Chorus Sim Racing Prototype, they're sitting in 3rd. Dressmaster Nirvana Racing's LMP number 33, the car that I consider to be the one to challenge Pure Racing Team, had an incident that required them to change the rear wing and cost them time. They're sitting at 1 minute and 40 seconds behind your race leader, and they are effectively out for the day as far as the win goes, but they still got plenty of time to make up to potentially fight for the podium. MSP Phoenix Racing's number 38. It's been quiet pretty much all day today. 8th to 5th, they're 1 lap down, but they are running very strong in that number 38. BAM Thrustmaster Esports, they are running strong in the 6th position. Probatum, they have been all over today as far as coverage. They have been in fights for position all day long. Their drivers are going to be exhausted. Jose Almeida and Jorge Augusto and Julio Ornelius, all 3 of them have had massive fights with some of the top tier drivers in the entirety of the iRacing service. They have come out working fairly strong here. Team Chimera, they are sitting strong courtesy of some good stints from Joshua Chin and Ben Tusting. Will Joshua Chin complete the car? I believe he will take it to the finish, as that rounds out the top 8 in your prototype field. Leaders in GT are coming into pit because of course they are. Matty Soja has been leading as he is getting his final pit stop. VRS Coanda Sim Sports running in 2nd and 3rd with the 88 and the 81. Heisenfeld Core Motorsports is running in the 4th position. MSP Phoenix Racing is running in the 5th position. Interesting thing, the front 3 cars, the Vendaval, the Coanda cars, they're running a different pit strategy than the Heisenfeld Core Motorsports and the MSP Phoenix Racing car. So who will come out on top? Well, we're going to have to find out. They are all on the same lap. As Core Sim Racing GTE Orange, they're shadowing. They're trying to see what they can get in as far as action. Madikati Soja, he has gotten fuel for the finish. He has not taken tires. He is in for the rest of the day. SimRC.de Crimson, I believe that one of the SimRC cars took the win here at Sebring 1 year ago. Well, they changed cars, and they're sitting back now in 7th position. And then you got Torrent Motorsports. They have been in the fights all day long. Rouse Balfour, Kim O'Soyman, and Marius Golenbeck. We had earlier for an interview. He has the whole team has driven that car pretty much up to the what they would consider the front of the field. 33 was their starting number, and 27 is where they're sitting at right now overall. A couple of retirements. We've had the Infinity SimSport car pull off. They were not too happy about a couple of penalties, and then they incorrectly served that penalty. That was their day. And then really the only real racing retirement is the Pure Racing Team GTE Red and the Gym Racing Team. Both of those cars are out of the race, so we've got 3 total retirements for 51 total starters. And Mr. Randy Chenal, I gotta say, absolutely, this has been a sensational race. This has been, we normally have lulls. We have not had that today.
We've had plenty of lulls, though. Yeah, it's been a pretty fun race. It's been a really fun show, and this last hour I think is going to be really, really interesting. I don't think we're going to end up with too many of those nail biter fights down to the down to the end, especially for those races for position. Something that's actually really interesting though is that you can pretty much count Heisenfeld Core Motorsports pretty much out of it in terms of being able to fight for the win. Because looking right here, they've yet to come down pit lane. However, Matty Soja, he's just exited pit lane and he's come out in front of them. So unless something crazy happens out in front, Heisenfeld Core Motorsports, considering they still owe a pit stop and the leaders managed to get out in front of them, likely not going to be able to fight for the race win. But still keep an eye on the likes of MSP Phoenix as well as those Coanda machines. And we're still waiting on one of those Coanda cars. Actually, I take that back. He's on pit lane right now. That's David Williams, likely fuel only here to get himself to the end. MSP Phoenix will be the last car we expect to see down onto pit road. And well, that could happen pretty much any time now, because we know they went for a little bit of a short fill that last time through. And matter of fact, into the lane they come. Last pit stops for your GT cars here in the inaugural round of the 2017 race.
So here is Lucas Yesta. He is coming in right now. Their last pit stop was a, let's see if I can grab it before they reset the timer. It was Nope, didn't catch it in time. So I don't know if they had second tires from their previous pit stop. I read Lucas Esat, after a fantastic day, is going to be hopping out of that machine. Gregory Tansen is going to be taking it to the finish, and we'll see what that MSP Phoenix Racing car can do. Fastest lap of the day for that Ford has been brought in. It was a 158.1 from Lucas Esat. Gregory Tansen, he runs basically 2s and 159, so certainly
actually
not
been quicker than your race leader by about a tenth. 58.2 for Matty Cadasola.
Yeah, so the Ford has the speed, just not the day. As here comes
actually, I take that back.
Racing.
One did a 58 flat.
Well, and it's no surprise there. As Ricardo Ledo has come in, as he's now coming into pits, and as they are now just working themselves away here at the last moments of the pit action for these cars. Here goes Gregory Tansen. He's burnt the tires up, and he is leaving the Sebring International Raceway pit lane for the final time. And we've also had a black flag for a 15-second stop and hold for the Acme prototype Connery. I don't know if you recall anything with that, but either way, they're going to have to come on in and serve 15-second penalty.
Yeah, it was an incident between them and the number 71 car of the Pure Racing Team, GTCE Blue, and I don't think there's all that much damage to the PRT Blue car there, apart from the slight damage to the right-hand side of the car, the front wheel arch, the rear wheel arch pushed up and into it. But as a result, the number 19 will actually come down now to serve that penalty. And well, it's not really going to affect their race that much, because they're pretty much right on the back of all the prototypes that are still running.
Yeah, and it looks to me like Randy, the prototype action, still continuing. His team Chimera has gotten around the Probatum Racing prototype. Finally, it's been a good battle, but finally Joshua Chin has found himself around, and really, he's it's not that far up the track. Is the car of I believe that is what, the BAM Thrustmaster number 17.
Peter Tomahawk is how we pronounce that actually at Chimera, as we do come up with some fun nicknames at the time, and it's more fun than trying to say Tomiak, or however that's pronounced. But yeah, Josh is still pushing hard, and pretty much the same situation for everybody. Here everyone pushing through to get themselves to the last stop, and we're still waiting here. You're at 50 minutes, so you can probably say your prototype final pit stop window opens right about now. I'd give it probably a couple more laps just to be safe, but I expect pretty much to see people start coming down on the pit lane here in the next few laps. For people that are going to be coming down on the early side of things, for people that can go run late, it is generally advisable in the prototypes to keep the weight of the prototype down as low as you can. So if you can go an extra 10, 15, 20 minutes, just do that, keep the car light, and then take on a lighter load of fuel. You'll actually end up with a lighter average. If you just look at the last hour and 20 minutes or whatever, you'll end up with a lower average weight over the course of that than if you come down on the pit lane right now. So it's just generally better off to do that rather than stop early and get all sorts of heaviness.
Yeah, just all sorts of heaviness all around. So either way, and I don't think you want the heaviness. Either way, I will say, is it just me, or is that Torrent Motorsports car a little worse for wear? I believe I can see the inside of the Ferrari, and I'm not sure if that's just me, or if indeed something has happened to the number 99. Somebody.
I'm seeing it too. I'm not sure what happened there. I think he just came off
something's happened. Actually, meanwhile, a car right behind it has spun itself out. The BAM, the Blackadder Motorsports Workiva, and they've crashed now into the inside barrier. What is going on here? As it just looked like they had the laziest spin in existence. I think they downshift a little too early while they were dancing on the brakes, and that car has now turned itself around. But either way, Connery, things might be kicking off here. Because I don't know where they managed to pick up that damage. But
oh, I found the Torrent incident. This was a lap ago, and it was coming to the end of lap 151, the beginning of lap 152, coming through Sunset Bend. He just caught a little bit of oversteer right as he was tracking out. He caught a bump just wrong. It kicked the back end out, and he just caught that left rear on the grass. And I think he would have been able to save that initial little slide. but he got that left rear on the dirt, and then there was no saving that number 99 machine of Torque Motorsports, and that basically just threw the car into the left-hand wall, then back across the track. Couple cars cycling through who are going to be probably happy to pick up that spot. But yeah, that was a big incident there for Ross Belfour and Torrent there, and really probably heartbreaking here inside the last hour. That's really just such a small mistake, having the car just a few inches too far left, too far right, and instead of straddling that hump, you put the wheels on it, upsets it, and then you just clip the grass like that. That's why, that's pretty much why they have that section paved now in the real world.
Yeah, and just for reference, into that outside retaining barrier at 100 miles an hour, as we're getting the replay right now, he just got catapulted across the track, and we're actually, it's pretty lucky because that incident actually happened right in front of the Pure Racing Team blue GTE machine, as well as the Vendaval GTE machine, and if he went a little bit straighter, that would have really caused a conflagration at the start-finish line. But for Ross Belfour, not what
That's
you
not
can
even
do.
a word.
What?
You can't just make up words on air.
What? Conflagration?
I highly doubt that's a word.
It's a word. Oh my goodness me. Either way, yeah. See, Hugo's got me. Hugo's got it. He doesn't even speak English. No, this isn't a spelling contest. This is RaceSpot TV. Anyways, so Ross Belfour, I'm not having a good day. I don't think, but I can only imagine that car is going to slink further on down the field because it's there's what 5 more cars that's on the same lap as him, so that car is going to be significantly under speed now, Connor.
Yeah, and I did just post the definition of that word for Rand to have a little bit of a look at there.
The only reason why I know why it exists is because it has to deal with fire.
Yeah, exactly. And well, final stages of this race. Let's put our serious hats on for the end of this race, shall we?
No. So we're trying. Just wait until it's the 3 of us and it's like hour 15 of the Le Mans race. That's when your real action's going to start. Either way, just looking through the field right now, it's quieted up. We seem to have spent all of the rounds in the chamber in that last hour, and it was very high drama. We saw quite a couple of incidents, and I think people are now kind of woke people up and just kind of make people go, you know what, we're trying to make the end of the race here. So other than that, there are a couple of cars coming in. Team GT's HBD, Ricardo, Shyavon, Randy is coming into pit lane. The number 21 machine is going to be getting service, and they've been having a good day today.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's been a lot of people having good days today, and I think that's one of the big things about this race today, Kim, is the fact that, you know, so little incidents. There's very few people out there that have really just had a flat-out bad day. Yeah, there's some people that have caught, you know, a little bit of tail of the luck, some spins, but there's only a handful of cars that I would look at and say, you know what, you've had a really, really bad running. Everyone has sort of gotten themselves into the position they are just based on their pace. And, you know, if you're on the slow side, yeah, that's going to suck. But, you know, outside of that, there's really not been too many, let's say, other criteria changing up the order for most teams.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be difficult because when we always say, you know, this car has had a good day, you'll have expected looking at the results sheet they jumped up like 9 or 10 positions. When nobody's had an incident, nobody's really crashed outside of small things as we watch the battle between the Vendaval Sim Racing Blue and the 38 machine of the MXP Phoenix Racing. I almost said Mighty 38, but that is a completely different P2 car. As Dakota Fripp is finding himself behind the wheel as he is taking over for Brice Foreniles for the final stint of the day, is that, you know, moving up 2 positions, moving up 3 positions, moving up 4 positions when nobody's had a retirement, everything is, you know, pitted in fuel strategy. It's not like we had a crazy incident at the start of the race, Randy. It's really, it goes to show something. Yeah, I mean, +3 might not sound like a lot, but boy, oh boy, that is a massive, a massively good day when you can say you've gone up 3 or 4 positions in a no-incident race.
Oh, and we might have a little bit of an issue here with the number 2 machine. He had a slight contact with the 77 of Yanni Vecchio. No big damage here, but Dakota Fripp was trying to put that Sim RC Ferrari down a lap, try to cycle through on the outside of Tower. Keep in mind that number 2 is fighting with the 38 machine. We might have actually seen that on screen, but that little bit of a touch inside the last hour, Cam, that's the sort of thing that could come into play. That those guys in that SimRC Ferrari could say something to the stewards if they so choose. And inside the last hour, those are the sorts of moves you don't want to be making to potentially get a penalty now. Absolutely no way for you to bounce back from it.
Yeah, maybe perhaps the GT car went a little wide, maybe perhaps, but I'm not quite sure though. I gotta say though, diving to the inside of David Williams is Dakota Fripp right now, as Lucas Jocht is following right on behind. He'll easily pass on the inside of the Ferrari, going in and through the tight, twisty sections here at corner number 3, as Connery, the Phoenix machine still has to come down to.
Yeah, so this is a battle pretty much all over nothing right now, because MSP Phoenix Racing 38 still has to pit to get their fuel to the end of the race. But the thing is, they're not alone in that one. Pure Racing Team LMP, your current LMP leader, still has to pit to get themselves to the end. So have Core Sim Racing Prototype, they have to pit as well. And a couple of other drivers down the field also have to complete their final stops for Prototype. So they're not alone in having to come down one more time. But yeah, they're just probably just trying to entertain themselves to see if they can catch Fenderval right now on all tires.
Yeah, I mean, hey, why not? Every second counts. You get further up the field, you lose less time when you're in the pit lane. Their pit stop was also only 30 seconds, so that was their short stop. And now, actually, they're going to be able to short stop again, as because they've only got to take 30-40 minutes of fuel when they come into pit, because they're at 25.7. I don't think that they can make the full 30 if that means that they have short filled with only taking 30 seconds worth of fuel. I don't think that they double stinted their tires. So yeah, it's just an interesting thing to see here. How about they're going about it? But you know what? It's not necessarily the MSP Phoenix Racing Prototype we've been keeping an eye on. It is the GTE machine. And Randy, that hasn't necessarily turned out that well. I think they came in for their pit, and looks to me like well, they might gain a couple of positions, but they're sitting back in 8th right now in GT.
Yeah, I think their strategy just didn't pan out. I think we may have missed this to a certain extent. The fact that Jetstat had done so much of that running, and they waited until the last second to get Hansen back into the car. Could be Lucas just was quicker than what Gregory was. But where we, I think we were expecting to see them come down pit lane, take a splash, and go, but they instead opted for a full service. I think they did a full tanks, well, not full tanks, but actually may have been close to full tanks, given how early they stopped. So yeah, that would have been right on the brink of a full stop, and they took tires. So I think for that number 85 machine, I think that's where they sort of had their little issue. As I see Renato Hierta has actually just DC'd, and I think that number 153 machine might have fallen into issues.
The 53 machine, no.
There's a 76 machine.
76 machine, thank you.
SimRC Iris. He's on lap 153, so I'm dumb and mixed it up.
Great. So yeah, let's see if we can find out where that SimRC car has run off to. Yeah, it is not on the racing track right now, so unfortunately something has happened to that SimRC Iris machine. I don't know, obviously don't need to bring a replay up or anything like that because we don't know what's happened. But either way, Ronaldo Lorena, I mean, they were running last regardless. Yeah, something has befallen that car, Connery, which is unfortunate.
I don't think they were last. I think that's
they are now.
They haven't, well, yeah, because they haven't come across the strike. Of course they would be.
Oh no, he had an incident. That's a retirement. That's a retirement from the SimRC Iris machine.
Oh yes, it was.
Yeah. We, as it looks to me like the Autobahn Motorsports number 9 car, as they were coming out of they came out of the hairpin. Then they went up through I believe it was Tower and I think Cunningham even, and they were taking that double left-hander, and he straightened out a little bit and took a massive shunt and got pumped right into the left side wall, as we're getting that replay right now here on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live, as Ronaldo Lorena, his day ending suddenly due to a massive amount of damage to that car. And McConnery, that is a very unfortunate way to end it.
Yeah, and I was just looking at the prototype leader. In fact, coming off of the pit lane, pretty much had to almost call to a stop because the whole train of traffic that was trying to come through on them. There was another prototype ahead that basically did come to a stop at the end of the pit lane there, Scimitar Esports, as they're trying to get away. But that was a really weird situation coming off the lane there. Well, the thing is, Piatti can really afford to lose that much time because they have such a gap over the cars behind, but it's only standing around 10 seconds right now, but that's only because, of course, Sim Racing have not pitted yet, and, well, so they'll be dropping back quite far, so they have pretty much about a minute's advantage to play with.
Who won the shot?
So it's not so much of a worry for Patrick Wolff. He's basically driving this car to the end now with 35 minutes to go.
Yeah, and interesting thing to note here is that he had to drive off track for a little while. Normally, maybe not the biggest deal in the world, but you've got an extraordinarily low-to-the-ground prototype car. I don't know. I don't think he will have damaged anything. Obviously, he's not seeing as he's slicing through people left and right as we go past the incident scene from Ronaldo Lorena's incident. But either way, for Patrick Wolff, as he goes onto the Ullman Straight right now, he's been having just a grand old day, and Randy, that Lorena incident, I just, that is very unfortunate.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. That wasn't either of those drivers' faults there, but you know, unfortunate for Ray that he had to be on the short end of the stick there, and you know, Simar Ciaris, all those guys, that sort of incident is going to put them out. And, you know, like you said, no fault on Ray's and no fault on Autobahn. We've got a few cars coming down on pit lane. Iemeginu and the other Simar C car, this is the Crimson machine, as well as Lawrence DeRiek in the Yoke Racing machine.
That Chimera is also on the lane as we're getting their service. Joshua Chin in for the rest of the day. And actually, somebody has missed their pit stall. Jose Almeida has missed his pit stall. He had to put it in reverse as we're waiting right now. Jose Almeida.
And he was chasing down Josh, so that's actually pretty important.
Yeah, so that's going to give Joshua Chin some time as Maxime Pauly pulls in his spot. Yoke Racing pulls in his spot. Jose Almeida is still in reverse. There he goes. He puts it in first gear. And he is going to be off and away. No, actually, Joshua Chin, he's not only got the position, he's got 1, 2 seconds. He's got 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. About 4 Mississippi worth of time between the exit from him and the exit to Jose Almeida. So, unfortunately for that,
we've come so far in the timing technology at Race Spot.
Yes, we have. And that is going to be a massive gap now between those two, possibly courtesy of that missed pit stall. But either way, though, continuing to look around for some other battles. It's getting kind of difficult, too. I think everyone's kind of settling into their own pace of power, and I think it's because people just want to make the end.
Yeah, that's pretty much what all the good drivers are doing now. Pretty much all your prototypes got good enough fuel to the end now with around about 33 minutes remaining. And, well, in terms of your GT as well, it's exactly the same case for your GTE cars. I don't think anyone else running for major positions has to pit at this stage. It's just a run to the line. And, well, there's not really all that many close battles on track right now. It's just basically a procession all the way until the end, unless someone decides to make it interesting.
And just looking at the pit stops, everybody has taken their full pit stops. Interesting things to note perhaps in the future going forward is keeping an eye on that number 33 Thrustmaster Movado LMP. He is currently right now about maybe only a second behind your third positioned Dakota Frick piloted Vendaval Sim Racing Blue machine. And we've got to remember Tommaso Carla extraordinarily quick as he's working his way through now lap traffic. He gets around the Phoenix Ferrari. As you got to just start looking here, perhaps, how much can Tommaso Carla recover? Will he finish on the podium? Well, we've got half an hour to decide that, and I believe, Randy, I am going to go with yes.
It's going to be very close. I mean, yeah, he's quick, but that Vendaval Blue machine of Dakota Fripp hasn't exactly been slow. When inside of 30 minutes, there's not going to be much fair play happening here. They're going to be very, very aggressive in terms of how they're going to fight with this. There's going to be a lot of defensive driving. There's going to be a lot of aggressive driving. And it's not, over and done with and decided just yet for Tommaso Carla and Thrustmaster Movado, as well as Dakota Fripp and Vendaval. It could very well be we might see a big dive bomb. Coming to the stages, there's going to be a hard fight happening for sure once Carla gets there. We might see an incident between both of these cars, and we might see neither of them on the podium. We might see MSP Phoenix or not Blackadder Motorsports Thrustmaster.
Yeah, as we're looking now at the 69 and the 57, that is your Thrustmaster Movado Racing's GTE effort, looking to dance with the Inex Racing Jack Sedgwick, as it's now Sedgwick versus Van Schaik, as Van Schaik has gotten passed by Jack Sedgwick, as that is for what will be, I believe, 9th position in GTE. And, well, we'll see if we can bring in Manuel Sadao. And Manuel, he's the one of the drivers for the Team RSO number 47. And we'll see if maybe, Connery, let's see if you can have a word with Manuel about the day that the RSO guys have been having.
Yeah, and of course you're a part of the 47 car team, which is the prototype effort for a Team RSO, currently running in P number 12, which isn't too bad considering you started P number 17. So it's been a very good race for you guys, and right now well, there's not really many drivers around you to challenge. You've got Team GT a couple of seconds down the road, and that's pretty much the only position you can challenge for coming towards the end here. But again, gaining those spots that you have over your qualifying must have been a fantastic race for you guys inside of 30 minutes now.
Yes, hello, perfect analysis. So nothing more to say for me about our race. Thank you for that, and good night and good morning or wherever you are from outside. You're totally right, it was a super hard race for us, so we jumped into the prototype for the pre-qualifying the first time, so we're still struggling a bit to understand the car, what it's doing, so P number 17 in qualifying was pretty much the maximum we could achieve, and now in the race we worked our way towards the front of the field or with the help of strategy. Yeah, the strategy really working out for you guys right now. Is the battle we have on screen right now is between Thrustmaster Movano Racing and Vendor Sim Racing within your well, final step of the podium. But you also came in here to talk about kind of the future of sim racing. Of course, you have the first ever sort of esports expo going on out there in Switzerland. So just take us through that, and what is Team RSO's perspective? It's right. I mean, you all know that 2017 was a great year for sim racing in general. I mean, we have several really nice events and big events already this year, and also during the Sim Expo, which was some weeks ago, we had a panel, or we set up a discussion panel where we were discussing for 2 days together with all the experts from sim racing about how we can develop sim racing in general, because compared to other esports, sim racing seems to be a bit behind, even if we have a super competitive level on the top of the field. And today was a perfect example. I mean, if you watch this race down there at your couch or living room or wherever you hopefully were enjoying this so far 5.5 hours. And we are very interested in what's happening. So we're professionalizing as a sport, and we in our team, we feel it very much, and we're not even on the top. So I'm pretty sure that teams like Coanda or Redline, of course, they are far ahead of Rennsport Online. But still, I mean, we have sponsorships deals going on. We are having legal structures which we need. Next weekend, during the first esport exhibition in Switzerland, we will hopefully honorably represent sim racing as a sport there. That was kind of a follow-up to our involvement during the Sim Expo, and there we will have another it will be a presentation basically where we explain to the interested audience like what sim racing is about, how is it working, and there will be a lot of potential sponsors or investors who are on the search for new perspectives to invest in esport in general, and their sim racing is very interesting, and that's what we try to support with our input there. And then during the whole expo, we'll be there and have some very nice simulators. We will be there with one professional racing team of Emil Frey, which is like the biggest Jaguar seller and developer for the Lexus and Jaguar GT3 program. And that's what we do there, and hopefully we can contribute to our all benefit.
Yeah, and I bet you guys will be a very, very good representatives for sim racing, as you already have been in terms of doing getting yourself involved in like Sim Racing Expo. And I know myself and Jake Sperry are going to be heading our way there next year, so maybe you can whisper to a couple of people about English language broadcast, maybe from live from the floor.
No comment.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, I was missing Jake there this year already. I mean, I still owe him a beer, so I hoped I could do it there this year, but he had to pass, I think, because of the world fastest gamer, right?
No, I think he had to back up for one reason or another. I'm not sure if the world's fastest gamer was the reason.
he was not able to do that, but he did do the live broadcasts for the GT 500, which is the endurance race at Sim Racing Expo.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the thing is now we need kind of more LAN events like that, not just at Sim Racing Expo or the Finnish Sim Racing Association, those finals that go on in a LAN environment. We need more of these events on a more regular basis to try and promote that sort of live event feel of race.
Yeah, that's totally right. I agree. When we were discussing on the stage, we had Olli Pakala there as our guest, and I mean, we concluded that one very important thing we as sim racing have to do in the future is to really carry the emotions out of our sport, and I mean, broadcasting is the perfect perfect opportunity or possibility to do that, because you are carrying the emotions by commenting on what's happening on track, and that's great. Thank you for that.
I agree. Fly me to Germany.
You're already doing Thunder Hill, which is a real life race, Randy. Come on.
That's not an esport race. It's different.
No. Don't mind him, Manuel.
No, I don't.
But thank you for all that you're doing for sim racing. It's really fantastic to see, and we've also got sort of LAN events going on in other games that we could talk about as well, like the F1 esports and all that. But I guess the aim is to get iRacing to that sort of level with that sort of link, with that sort of funding, right?
It's a difficult question because I mean, in general, all sims or games or however you call them, they have their right and they're important, because in the end, at least they are contributing to the accessibility of our sport. So even if you don't consider Project Cars or Gran Turismo as a simulation, which I agree, it's important because that is where talents come from, and that is where people go start sim racing or start what they will end in sim racing. And I mean, therefore it's hard to answer the question. And personally, I think that what we see or what we witness on iRacing, that is the climax of sim racing. I mean, we have all the talented guys in the finals of whatever events you have with fastest gamers or whatever. I mean, now the races, they are really perfect here with strategy calls and everything you have to watch out for, and that is great. But in the end, we have to really strive for coexistence of all this, and yeah, to make people learn about what we're doing, and that is actually really hard work to get where we are today, for example.
Oh, I just saw very, very close there between the Movano Racing LMP car and CMRC Crimson and Team GT Heat Beat, just splitting them 3 wide coming down the step, and that was very, very close indeed as this battle is getting closer and closer. But thank you, Manuel Sudau, for being in the box here and just talking about sim racing and the future of sim racing in general. Anything you'd like to say before we get back to this battle, because it is getting very close?
Yes, of course. I mean, to everybody who's in Switzerland or who has nothing to do next weekend, he's warmly invited to visit us on the expo. And however, I want to thank all of our sponsors and my teammates, and our sponsors that are the Turk Fisher Group of Krefeld, that is the Racing Fuel Academy, that's Sim Department, that's simlab.eu, and with the help of all them, we are working our way to the top, and how hard and tough it is, we could see it already today, and I'm pretty sure the final 20 minutes will be thrilling. Thank you guys in the end. Thank you. You're doing a great job. I love it.
Yep, thank you very much, Manuel. And back to you, Cam, because Tommaso Carla still trying to find a gap over the Vendaval Sim Racing blue car ahead of him. And as I was saying before this battle even really started to start, that these guys have a very good rivalry going on between them. Of course, it was Vendaval missing out on the Petit Le Mans win because of Frustas Movano getting themselves ahead, and of course their own technical issues. And also in Sports Car Open, it was Frustas Movano winning by about 3 seconds over Vendaval Sim Racing. So these guys are absolutely no strangers to each other. It should be a thrilling end here for the final step in your prototype.
Yeah, and for Dakota Fripp, he has been working right now on trying to defend as well as he can over Tommaso Carla at Thrustmaster Movano Racing LMP33. I just don't know how long you can do it. I mean, it's what, 22 minutes right now at the line. Was left in this race. It is not going to be easy, Randy, to try to defend against that, and I can only imagine trying to beat Dakota Fripp right now. I mean, he's running somewhat fast laps, But, I mean, Tommaso Carla, just this the stint right before this, he ran his fastest lap of the race, 1:58 with a 1:49.5. That was only like 20 laps ago, so he is absolutely on the charge right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's pushing hard as Tommaso Carla, and I mean, Dakota First going to be pushing hard as well, but like we said earlier, you're coming up on about 10 laps to go, going to be roughly 10 to 12 laps to go, depending on how the time falls with the race leader. And you know, if you're Dakota Fripp, you just have to go. You do not let that Vendaval machine by, or excuse me, that Thrustmaster Movano machine by, because there's no way you're going to reel in that core sim racing prototype driven by Isaac Price. So for them, Dakota Fripp just has to somehow, some way, try to hold on. It's going to be difficult. Hopefully he can get some good news of the traffic. And that's actually one thing to think about here, Connery. I'm going to come to you on this because you and I worked this event. Think back to a week ago, we had Vendaval trying to chase down Movano, but we're unable to do so because of the bad luck with traffic. It'd be so funny if the exact inverse happens today.
Well, it would only be so funny if, Vendaval Sim Racing weren't the ones, at least for them, getting caught by the traffic. It won't be funny for them. Movano has door-to-door contact with themselves, and Huygensveld Core Motorsports coming off the corner there, off of turn number 5. I don't think it's going to be damage to that Movano car. Yeah, that right-hand side of the car seems relatively clean, but that was a scary moment heading into towards the final stages here.
Yeah, he's picked up a little bit of damage on the right side. That right side pod is a little broken up. That might affect something, as well as the Ferrari. Got to remember that Ferrari of Huygensveld Core Motorsports is currently running in the 4th position. Not that far back is the Core Sim Racing GTE, who'd probably be looking to take that position. So hopefully everything is all right. With both of those machines as we're in the closing stages here of the 6 hours of Sebring here in the Neo Endurance Series, the very first round of the Season 4, the 2017-2018 series. As, of course, in the booth, it's myself, Cam Walsh, Randy Chenworth, Connery Maddock, and Hugo Louis bringing us to the end. Of course, thank you so much to Manuel for that talk with RSO. And either way, just got to say here, leaders right now, PRT, Pure Racing Team.
Movano around the outside at Sunset Bend. There has to be, as an attempted pass is on the cards now for Carla. He still hangs around the outside a little bit on the grass there. No, Tommaso Carla has a little bit of a half spin, avoids the wall, has to get that car stopped, and that is not how you try an attempted pass around the outside of Sunset Bend. Lucky he didn't hit the wall there, but he's going to lose positions as a result. As I'm just having a look right now, yes, they have lost the... Actually, they've lost... Yeah, of course they've lost position to Vendaval. They don't, in fact, have not yet lost the position to Phoenix Racing. That is the lucky... That is a very, very lucky thing for Tommaso Movano, that they don't lose any more positions as a result of that. But now this is their chance for being number 3 over.
I think this is why we may have seen Movano pushing so hard. In fact, they actually don't have much to lose.
Yeah, they got 50 seconds.
The card alone. Yeah, because the next car in line, MSP Phoenix Racing, they're only entering Sunset Bend right now, whereas Movano, even after that spin, are now entering into the hairpin. So if Tommaso Carla wants to push hard, I don't know if he's got the speed to do so outright. He can try to reel that Vendaval car in if he thinks he can do so. He doesn't really have much to lose in terms of
just under 20 minutes.
Yeah, he's got just under 20 minutes, so about 10 laps. It's going to be a really big ask, and he doesn't have much to potentially lose unless he throws the car in the wall, so he can push for it, make a mistake, and then go easy from there.
But I got to remember, he's damaged his tires too. It's not like he's going to come into the pit lane and get new boots. So he's got those tires for the rest of the day. And obviously he is not going to be a happy camper. I don't think that was anything to do with traffic. I don't think he worked himself up with traffic or anything like that. He just did that on his own. And Tommaso Carla, I mean, for all that we've gotten out of him today, for the extraordinarily fast laps all throughout that first stint, one of the only cars that could challenge the PRT machine, I don't think you can really expect much more. He's really putting it all on the line here at the Sebring International Raceway for us here on RaceSpot TV for the Neo Endurance Series opener. And gotta say, I mean, Connery, it's been good so far, and I have a feeling we're seeing a couple of battles tighten up, but most things seem to be split up enough to where people can be comfortable.
Yeah, exactly, and well, that just goes for the GTE field right now. No battles within only a second or half a second right now. Same in for your prototypes for the moment, but as a result of that little half spin, shall we say, wasn't even half spin, it was more like a quarter spin for Tommaso Cala. As a result, he's now 9 seconds behind Vendor Sim Racing Group, as it is on the relative timings right now. So 9 seconds in about 9.5 laps. I mean, it's possible, but you really have to turn some sort of afterburners on these HPDs to try and catch that much, and hope that Vendor have their typical issues with traffic.
Yeah, and it's getting to the point where just looking at the track map, I mean, everyone is fairly spread out right now. It's not like before when you had groups of cars or trains of cars. If somebody has lost it in the Sunset Bend, somebody in a dangerous location, Lars Josepin in the Phoenix Motorsports machine, he has lost it going into Sunset Bend. What has happened to that number 64? All on his own. He lost the rear, and we've seen this, Randy, 3, 4, 5 times now, where a Ferrari's rear end will get a little bit of a bump, almost backed into the Blue Flag Racing Ferrari, I believe, or one of those cars. Oh, no, it was the IRDK Endurance prototype. But, Randy, we've seen this a couple of times now.
Yeah, we have, and it's sort of funny because normally we expect the Ferrari to be sort of that solid option, and it's actually, I mean, that's a really weird spin for Yard Lepison. That's the fact that he spun that car the way he did, so very loose on the, you know, that's, I mean, we saw it going into one, but it didn't even look like he was fighting loose before. It looked like the car just broke. I don't know if that's just too little wing angle or too much complaining about the BOP on the forums, but still, for Lars Jepsen, not a great situation at all.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like on full suspension, on full max attack, that if they hit a bump the wrong way while they're in the middle of a corner, that rear can kick out. We've seen it in corner 1, and we've seen it now in the final corner, Sunset Bend. Those are big, fast sweepers. So either way, for the Ferrari guys, I mean, take note. This is something that can certainly happen. And we haven't seen this with the Ford. And actually, opposite of that, we saw the MSP Phoenix Ford have a very eerily similar situation. Now, of course, it was more or less self-imposed from disengaging. But he was able to control the car and get it straightened out. So perhaps, Connery, it's something to put into the notebook for the next couple of races.
Yeah, and well, it'll also may just be something to do with that corner with the amount of bumps that there is going through Sunset Bend, because I was watching the replay, saw the nose dip a little bit just as that car just started to break away, and just loss of rear traction as a result of the bumps coming through Sunset Bend. As I'm looking towards the 33 right now, Vispar Movano, they're going to get held up a lot here by the two that pit to lap traffic here. There's Tio Martin Esports in the prototype, and Corsim Racing GT Silver is diving down the inside, goes Tommaso Cala. He knows there is no time to waste right now if he wants P number 3, but the longer he gets stuck in traffic, the longer that this, well, that he stays behind right now, the less chance that he has over P number 3. And what have you seen, Cam?
No, nothing. That was just my eyes deceiving me. I thought somebody was going to try to do something that they really shouldn't have, but they backed out, so no problems there. But, all right, either way, we've still got a couple of battles to look at. You've got Team GT and Team RSO. They're fighting for position, and then you've also got the 75 and the 93. So either way, continue to look at these battles. I believe that second battle might be with a couple of GT cars. Let's take a look at that. It's a Sim Racing for Holland car and the SRN Motorsports orange car. Randy, we haven't really had a lot of time to talk about this. We had that massive, the massive log jam of GTE cars a little bit earlier in the race, but right now we're looking at just a pair of cars that we haven't really had a lot of time to talk about. The Sim Racing for Holland machine and the SRN Motorsports orange. They're setting up to have a good fight to the finish here as well at Sebring.
It's going to be interesting because we haven't seen too many of these Ford versus Ford fights here today. We've seen a couple, but I mean, just due to the pure number of the Ferraris, it's always either Ferrari on Ferrari or Ferrari versus Ford. And as we approach in the last 15 or so, coming up actually in the last 10 minutes of the race, it's going to be really interesting to see how this pans out. But that said, as far as Motorsports, Carl Modig, last time through, he got himself around that Sim Racing halt for Holland driver of Rudy DeWitt. Rudy sort of being the title driver there, sort of the premier guy at that group, probably the most well-known driver in that, well, it is a pretty well-known team there in Holland, and, already starting to stretch the gap. So this fight inside the last 10 minutes, Cam, might already be overdone with.
Yeah, Carl Modig put in a fantastic lap at 2 minute 0.1. compared to a 2-minute .9 from Rudy DeWitt. But either way, looking back to the Vendaval Sim Racing Blue and its ongoing attempt to break away from Tommaso Carla, it doesn't seem to be like it's getting any better or worse. There's also Ricardo Schiavon and Stefan Jan, the Team RSO versus Team GT effort, Connery. These guys are absolutely going at it, and they've also got to be careful because that Evolution Racing team number 26 is also on the charge.
Yes, they are. You have to question, is Yachty going to make it to the end there? 22 laps on the stint with about around 7 laps remaining. This is going very, very close on the fuel for them. It's a bit of fuel saving may be required because we usually see the 28-29 laps at a stretch on the stint, so they're marginal on the fuel, but I'm pretty confident they'll be able to get to the end with some help from the fuel saving modes as Team GT and Team RSO still close as it is now. Lap times almost identical, around about half a tenth between them, between those two prototypes right now, and this is the battle for E number 11 is going to be. So not top 10 place for these guys, but again, these guys would probably be very happy with their race so far, both gaining positions on the qualifying time. Lack of a top 10 is going to hurt a little bit, but you know, sometimes you just have to take what you can get.
Do not want to take a DNF because you got to remember we've got a packed schedule here with the Neo Endurance Series. I mean, just looking at where we're going to be going soon, it is going to be fantastic. The second round is going to be the 6 hours of Road America. Then we're going to go all the way to the Land of the Rising Sun for the 6 hours of Motegi. And we're going to finish out our stops in Germany and Belgium for the 6 hours of Nürburgring and the 6 hours of Spa-Francorchamps. And then, of course, we're going to end with the 24 hours of Le Mans. You can get the schedule and all the information on neo-endurance.com. Of course, our Neo hashtag. But either way, if you've been liking what you've been seeing and all that stuff, you know, constantly follow along with the Neo Endurance series. Of course, you can do that here on iRacing Live and RaceSpot TV. We're happy to have you along with us for the finish of this great endurance race that we have seen so far. A couple of battles left in it, but all you need to know is Pure Racing Team. After 5 hours and 51 minutes, they're still in the lead. Now, to be fair, it is only by 1 minute. That really goes to show how fast Core Sim Racing Prototype is. And we got to remember, Randy, sometimes the smallest of mistakes can really affect things because they had to stop their machine for probably 2 or 3 seconds, 3 or 4 seconds maybe, but they also had to stop and then they had to get going again. So really, they cost themselves maybe 10, 15, 20 seconds because Isaac Price had some sort of hardware issue. And you got to remember, I mean, now they'd only be 40 seconds behind or maybe 35 seconds behind. So interesting to see just how little mistakes can certainly affect things at the front of the field. Then you've got Vendaval Sim Racing Blue behind in the 3rd position and Thrustmaster Bravano in 4th. Tommaso Carla trying desperately to catch up as well. But yeah, Randy, just little mistakes sometimes can be costly.
Well, I mean, we saw it from that incident early on with, I can't remember the team it was. I think it was Torrent, you know, coming off of Sunset Bend. Just, you know, that was a very small mistake. The consequences of it were huge. But if you actually look at the context of that mistake, what was it? Well, he was just either a little bit too far left or too far right, and he clipped a bump a little bit, you know, not so ideally. And because of the way the car kicked out, he put the left rear in the slide, ended up on the grass, and that pretty much wrecked the car. It's, you know, even in these endurance races, you know, it doesn't need to be a big, huge mistake to potentially see you out. That said, I am still somewhat following this chase between Thrustmaster Bravano and Vendaval Blue because Bravano is the quicker car on track. They've reeled in about 2 seconds the last couple of laps. As they cycle through here, Dakota Fritt does a 50.3 and Bravano, they're going to come across the stripe here in just a moment. They're going to run a 50.6. That lap goes in the way of Vendaval, of course, due to all the traffic, but still, Tommaso Carla pushing hard in the last 10 minutes, trying to get there. He may not be able to do so, but he's going to try his hardest to get there.
Yeah, and you got to remember, though, also, you don't want to ruin anything. I think we've seen points battles get really skewed. That's the word I was looking for. Because of potential DNFs or incidents at the end of the race. So for Tommaso Carla, I mean, sure, you can work your way towards that 3rd position. You got to get through a couple of battling cars. That's Paul Malocas and Stefan Jan. You don't want to interrupt their race, and even then you still got to get past another prototype, another GTE car, and then there's Dakota Fripp, and I just don't think there's enough time in that. So I think that for now, that 10-second gap between Vendaval Sim Racing Blue and Thrustmaster Movano, number 33, it's going to go in the way of that Vendaval Sim Racing Blue car of Dakota Fripp, Connery. As we're getting to the closing stages, gotta say, it's not a bad day when you still got 4 cars on the lead lap in the closing stages of a 6-hour endurance race.
Yeah, but it's even better when you consider we've only had 4 retirements, like complete retirements from this race. And with 51 cars, well, at least started this race, only 4 of them going out. That is very, very good indeed. It's better than some real World Series, I would say. But yeah, this battle between Team GT, HPD, Team RSO, and Evolution Racing Team still relatively close, all within a second of each other, coming through Sunset Bend now. With only 4 laps to go, 4 laps to sort themselves out.
Yeah, I mean, time is ticking away here. 5 hours and 53 minutes ran for Patrick Wolf. It is 5 minutes remaining right now, actually, as he crosses the start-finish line. So we have got, according to my computer thingy over here, 3 laps remaining in the motor race for Sim Racing Prototype. I mean, Randy, we haven't really talked much about Isaac Price after maybe hour 3 or hour 4, but he has just been plugging away, putting in good laps. I have to say, good move here on the core racing, to come to core Sim Racing Prototype. Seems to be fitting in well, seems to be doing well. Him, Maxine, Paulie have been doing well, and they're putting in a very good two-driver effort here at Sebring.
That's not a surprise whatsoever, considering Isaac Price. I mean, he's had an absolutely fantastic year thus far, getting himself qualified for World's Fastest Gamer, being, you know, through some other sims out there, getting himself fantastic driver this year in everything he's done, be it Guangdong GT, be it Neo Endurance, of course, today. The fact that they had the issues they had, they were, you know, at one point pretty far down the order, and now they find themselves running second on the podium with just a handful of laps to go. Huge shout outs to that entire group at Core Sim Racing, and, you know, I think there's going to be another big 12 months coming forth next year, you know, for that entire group.
Yeah, I gotta say it was a little bit fringy for that Core Sim Racing team maybe last year, maybe 14 months ago. You know, things weren't doing too great. It was a bunch of really 5th position, 6th position, 7th position, nothing too crazy. And then once the Black Pain Series rolled around, they started performing, and it has just been getting better and better for them. Massive battle, however, between Ricardo Gialon, Team GT, stepping beyond Team RSO's number 47, and Paul Malokis' number 26, Evolution Racing Team Machine Connery. Closing stages here, don't have long to go, only a couple of laps, and we've got this 3-car battle to settle out who is going to finish in the 11th position in Prototype.
Yeah, this is looking likely to be the only battle that we'll get coming towards the end, and we're kind of lucky that it's a 3-car battle instead of just a duel that's going on right on the circuit right now. And well, it's Team GT, Team RSO, ERT going to be fighting it out for P number 11 as they head down onto the brakes into the hairpin. This is where you can gain a lot of time just closing up on the brakes, but careful here because there's marbles and dust. What was that, Cam?
There's an incident. Maximilian Wenig fighting for 37th position, and his Ferrari has been spun around by, I believe that was the Torque Freak Racing. Ford is Jake Robson. I think perhaps Wenig came around onto his nose, didn't give him any room going into the hairpin, so drama between a couple of cars at the end of the race. Maximilian Wenig electing to take the tow. I believe that car could have been completely mobile, but just electing to just throw the arms up, I believe, unless I had missed something. Perhaps the suspension had been knocked out and I wasn't able to see it. But just a little bit of an incident here on what would be probably the second to last lap here, Randy. But here's just an interesting thing to note. The leader of the race is sitting right behind this 3-car battle here. This 3-car battle might go an extra lap.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. What does Patrick Wolf do? He's going to come down this back straightaway. Will he be able to get to this 3-car battle? I do not think so, at least not this time through, and he's going to come through, and I believe it should be the white flag this time. But as per that incident between Wenig and Tortfreak, I have to say, looked to me like Wenig just doing a little bit deeper on the brakes and trying to take that line away from Tortfreak. And I think Tortfreak looked to me, they broke in a straight line, they didn't move across whatsoever there, but as they come through, this is going to be the last lap for Patrick Wolf and Pure Racing Team LMP as we have 1 minute and 20 seconds left. So 30 seconds in the bank for sure. White flag in the air. Patrick Wolf and Pure Racing Team LMP just need one more clean lap through.
Yeah, this is gonna be it. Patrick Wolf, all he's got to do is get around Vendaval Sim Racing Blacks GTE. Here we go, as the race is on. For the 11th position right now. This is for all the marbles. They're going to have 2 laps to go because I don't see the leader of the race passing them unless something dramatic can happen here. I think perhaps well out of the way is Tommaso Carla on the Dakota Frick battle, so I believe that that is completely done. Here comes Patrick Wolf. He is going to basically come to take the victory in a race that he has had no equal to outside of maybe the driver of Maximilian Benecke, which is pretty handy because that's his co-driver. So, the PRT machine, the number 7, going down now through the Bishop, through Gendabian, into what will be Le Mans for the final time here, as the clock expires on the 6 hours of Sebring International Raceway with the Neo Endurance Series Season number 4. Patrick Wolf, the Pure Racing Team LMP machine, going on down the start-finish line. Tommaso Carla letting him by. He wants to finish. He knows that he will take the checkered. Patrick Wolf coming out of Sunset Bend. He's got just a couple 100 meters to go, and the number 7 machine of PRT with the headlights flashing will take victory here at Sebring International Raceway, which means that we have got one more lap of racing here between the Team GT HPD, the Team RSO HPD, and the Evolution Racing Team HPD, but we have got the GT leader right now going through Sunset Bend. Matti Katisoja, the Ferrari, with his headlights flashing, will take victory as Santeri Kaikkonen and Juan Lopez will be happily cheering from the pits as Matti Katisoja will cross the start-finish line. Car number 26, though, he's having the challenge right now over Stefan Jan, and that Team RSO car is defending strong as the Team GT car, he looks to have gotten away. So now it is just a battle of 2 as they're working their way now. These are pretty much the last cars that will be racing on track, and it is for all the marbles. 6 hours of racing comes into a 2-lap sprint, and Paul Malokis is trying everything he can to get that position going, and he has got Mike Young of that SRN Motorsports car up ahead, and he should be able to get on right on by, no worries there, as he's closing on in. Will Mike Young give the position? Yes, he will give the position to 1, give the position to 2, give the position to 3. Michael Storm, he way overcooks it into the corner. He goes right into the rear of Paul Malokis' Evolution Racing Team, number 26. No damage, it seems, through the 2 of them, and here will come Paul Malokis on Stefan Jan. Will he be able to get the draft going into Sunset Bend? I don't believe so. Michael Storm, he is done for his race. Here comes the draft. Here comes Paul Malokis on the outside line, and he will go around the outside. Will he have the ability to come out around the drag race? There's a GTE sitting right there. He'll pull to the outside, and there goes Paul Malokis, Evolution Racing Team number 26 on the last lap. Will go from 13th to 12th.
Oh, you got a car on the wall behind, too.
It might not seem like much, but that was it right there. Yep, there's Mike Young.
He pulled a Hugo. Mike Young pulled a Hugo, weaving back and forth coming across the stripe, and he threw it into the wall.
Oh, well, mechanics aren't going to be happy about that. Oh, boy. Well, hopefully DailySportsCar.com is only watching up until this start-finish. Oh, he'd already crashed before he even got to the start-finish line. All right, well then, let's leave that pile of wreckage to itself, and let's look back to Patrick Wolf. And boys, that has got to be a very good finish, I have to say. You don't normally see a last lap battle in a 6-hour endurance race, but Randy, we managed to get that here at Sebring as Patrick Wolf lights him up.
Yeah, that was a great fight there coming to the end. 3 car scrap. coming to the final. I mean, that's something you don't hardly ever see. You know, it's rare to see a last lap scrap. But that said, Sebring's always put out some really, really good races. We saw last season, Team Chimera, they managed to reel in and get that lead position relatively late in the race. And then, of course, you have to think back, I believe it was 2 years ago at the 12 Hours of Sebring, maybe 3, where Team Phoenix Motorsport, they came just short of being able to steal a win away from Movano at the 12-hour race after Movano had to take a late race pit stop. But it seems to be, more often than not, Sebring tends to put on some exciting races, and this one really didn't disappoint.
No, not at all. Teammate Venable Sim Racing Black coming up to congratulate his teammate on the start-finish line. There's Patrick Wolf. He has parked that machine on the checkered flag. And while he does that, let us take a look at the finishing results here in the Neo Endurance Series season opener for season number 4. The 2017-2018 season looks to be getting off to a great start after 6 hours and 28 seconds. The Pure Racing team, which had basically been unchallenged all day long, has come away with it, and the drivers of Patrick Wolf and Maximilian Benecke will hopefully be joining us here to talk about their victory. Course Sim Racing's prototype, number 22. Very good day for them. Good recovery as they will finish in second position, 1 minute and 8 seconds behind. Vendaval Sim Racing Blue will finish in the third position. Thrustmaster Movano Racing wasn't able to catch Vendaval Sim Racing, so that Thrustmaster Movano car will finish in the fourth position. MSP Phoenix 38 will finish in fifth. The BAM Thrustmaster number 17 will be finishing in sixth position. Pro Batum, boy, did they have a day. They had fights up and down the order. They will start in 10th. They finish in 7th position. Thrustmaster Movano's number 34 machine will finish in 8th. A-Yoke Racing will come home in 9th. Team Chimera will come home in the 10th position. Team GT in the 11th. Evolution Racing Team, they've got the position. They got it. They started in 3rd, so it's not the day they want, but they'll come home in 12th position. I'm sure they'll take it. Team RSO finishes in 13th position. Virtual Motorsport in 14th. Teo Martin Esports in 15th. IRDK Endurance in 16th. Autobahn Motorsports will finish 17th after starting from pit lane. Simitak Esport will finish 18th. Acme Racing in 19th. And that is your prototype field, as well as just one prototype retirement. That's the Infinity Sim Sport, which retired due to a debate over penalties. Going now to your GT field, your Ferraris and your Fords. It was Vendaval Sim Racing White from the start. It was Vendaval Sim Racing White at the finish. And they come home in the lead of GT. Good enough for 20th position. VRS Coena Simsport takes the rest of the podium, the 88 and the 81. The Heisenveld Core Motorsports finishing in 4th. Core Sim Racing GTE in 5th. SimRC.de Crimson will come home in 6th position. MSP Phoenix Racing, well, there's our 4. They tried an alternate strategy, didn't work out. They will finish in the 7th position. Inex Racing, Thrustmaster Movano's GTE effort, Torrent Motorsports, Follow Me Esports Team, Core Sim Racing Silver, Logikill Vortex Sim Racing, which had that incident with Chimera that got them that penalty. Blue Flag Racing 53 will finish. After them, Evolution Racing Teams 82, Ferrari, SRN Motorsports, Orange Sim Racing for Holland, Torque Freak Racing Fords, Team RSO GT, Phoenix Motorsports, Ferrari, MSP Phoenix, Ford, BAM Thrustmaster, Ferrari, Team Heisenveld, Ford, Shinyamachimi Ford, the Blackadder Motorsports, Workiva, Ferrari, SRN Motorsports, Ford, Vendaval Sim Racing Black, Pure Racing Team GTE Blue, and SimRC.de Iris and Ferraris, followed by Jim Racing Team Retirement and Pure Racing Team GTE Red Retirement. So either way, first off, anyone that's heading out, thank you so very much for making RaceBot TV part of your day. We appreciate you watching. Leave us some feedback. You can, of course, follow along neo-endurance.com and all the other resources, hashtag IRNeo. Follow your favorite teams on Twitter and all the other goodies. But for the rest of us that are sticking around for the interviews, this is what we race for. We spend 6 hours racing, now we get to talk about it. So we'll start right off the bat with our race winners. That is going to be Patrick Wolf, and let's get him in here right now, as I don't see Maximilian Benecke. But either way, Patrick Wolf, the number 7 machine, the Pure Racing Team LMP, had no equal today. And Patrick, that was a fantastic race you put on here at Sebring.
Yeah, it was. Car felt really good. Could really just get down, put fast laps in, and also profiting from mistakes from other teams today.
Yeah, and a little bit of a strange start. Maybe led it to a cleaner start than perhaps we would expect here at Sebring, but it allowed you, Maximilian, to really break away. And once you had that gap, you just kept it going. And you guys hit traffic early. And it's difficult going through traffic on a good day. Take me through trying to go around Sebring here. I know we don't have the slower class, the GT2 machines anymore, but that just means we've got more GT cars to go around.
Yeah, just go around like you always try to be on to show the other car that you're trying to overtake it. So either be alongside or signalize through headlight flash. And yeah, that's about it, really.
Yeah, now the track cooled off a little bit. Don't know if you noticed at all, but the track cooled off, the air temperature cooled off. The wind picked up a little bit from when we started 6 hours ago, but the track conditions changed pretty significantly. I mean, from rubbering in, all the marbles, all the dirt. Driving the track 6 hours worn in, I mean, it's got to be a lot more different than driving the track when it was completely clean.
Yeah, at the beginning the track was quite fast, then just got slower and slower over time, and then came back towards the end. So, and like, if there's a lot of grip on the track, it's like you're playing Need for Speed, to be honest. Like, just group hacks through all the corners.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a prototype, so no surprise there. But either way, though, both you and your teammate doing an excellent job here, getting it done at Sebring. In about a month's time, I'm sure we will be seeing you at the 6 Hours of Road America. I know it's so not what you would normally expect to do to get to move on from Sebring right after winning the 6 hours here. But Road America, different set of challenges. You're going to be ready for it?
I hope we're going to be ready for it.
Well, there you have it. So, Pat, is there anybody you would like to give a shout out to? Or thanks to before we let you go?
Of course, shout out to our sponsors, Ashols Racing, Spuso, and Autohaus Wallmeyer. Shout out to my teammate Max. He did an awesome job today, also preparing the car. And shout out to the Iron Fist of the Secret Discord. Couldn't do it without him.
All right, so Mr. Patrick Wolf, thank you very much for hopping into the booth with us. Congratulations on your win. Give Maximilian a pat on the back for us as well. Absolutely outstanding job, and we'll see you in a month's time. So that was Patrick Wolf. Now we've got, let's see if we can find somebody. There's Isaac Price. From the Core Sim Racing number 22. Randy, why don't you get Isaac, and we'll go like that. So Isaac Price, the number 22 prototype, is going to be standing alongside Randy Chenow.
Yeah, I'm stood by with Isaac. And Isaac, it was a relatively clean race for you guys all the way through and through. We didn't really see that number 22 machine get into any issues. The one little issue we did see, that you stopped down at turn number 1 for some reason or another. What was exactly was wrong with that car? You were there for a very short time and then re-rolling out. Some sort of technical issue? What was the problem?
Yeah, well, so basically what happened was that obviously I haven't done that much racing on this new rig, and I put my mouse in a different position to what I normally do because it's closer to my hand for joining the car and stuff. But because of the way the rig vibrates, it fell on the floor during my stint, and it right-clicked onto iRacing, and it just froze until I could pick up my mouse and change it. It happened once in practice as well. And that time I hit the wall, so I was quite scared that I'd stick it in the wall, so I just brought it to a stop as quickly as I could and tried to find my mouse.
Now it's been a pretty big last few weeks for you running in various open wheel style sprint format races in simulators. What's it been like hopping back into say a prototype for a proper 6-hour GT endurance style event? How's that been from doing some of the more sprint style formats you've had to do in big shows recently?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I prefer the longer format because it takes less pressure off the start of a race. Like we didn't have a particularly good start to the race, but you could just kind of keep plugging away at it, and eventually we've ended up back in second. Whereas if it was a short race, an issue like what I had today would have basically ruled us out of even a top 5. So away at it, and eventually we ended up back in second. Endurance format.
So going forward, next round of this Neo Endurance Championship will be at Road America, and Road America we've not seen in the multi-class format in a while. It appeared during the Blanc Pond GT, the Neo GT Championship a few years ago when it was there was a Pro and AM style format that was GT3 only. This is going to be, to my mind, the very first sort of big long endurance style event we've seen at Road America. That's going to have a lot of attraction for some of the big teams. We did see that Camel GT style event last year. Or earlier this year, excuse me, but beyond that, Road America has been pretty absent from a lot of schedules for a long while. What do you think we're going to see from Road America, especially with the 2 new GTE cars dealing with that prototype field? How do you think that race will pan out?
Well, unfortunately, I probably won't be able to race it because of the World's Fastest Gamer finals, but Road America is one of my favourite tracks, but I never had much luck here in the endurance format. I think the only race I can remember that I've done in endurance here was Masters of Endurance. And I didn't even get to start the race because of a glitch that basically put me in a McLaren instead of a BMW.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, yeah. So I haven't had much luck here. So it's probably a good thing that I'm not going to be anywhere near the driving seat for this one.
Well, that's unfortunate, and I do remember that. I think that's the only time I've ever seen that bug happen. I don't think I've seen it another time since before then or since. But regardless, Isaac, good run for you overall to get a strong P2 finish, as you said, after such a bad start to this race. Any shout-outs, anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
I mean, I'd just like to thank, obviously, the team and especially Santry for being able to step in and do such a good job in quali. Without that, it might have made it a little bit more tricky in the race. So, yeah, just thanks to the whole team.
All right, we'll see you next time, Isaac. Cam, back over to you.
And finishing in the 3rd position was the Vendaval Sim Racing Blue Machine with its drivers Fabrice Cornelius and Dakota Fripp, as well as Cohen Clapman. Cohen Clapman was not in use today. It was just Fabrice and Dakota. And, well, we're going to talk to Fabrice Cornelius first. Fabrice, you're going to
and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Nightmares creep while you and